Hey now, Adam.
No,
What's
hey
up?
nows. What's going on? What are we
I
talking
can
about?
do what I want. I'm a
No,
rebel. Okay.
no,
No. Look at this. Look at
boo.
this. Look at this. Anyway, you remember how amazing it was, how incredible it was when we were watching the Kyle Rittenhouse trial because it was all aired, and there was that wonderful sequence where the judge just laid into Mr. What was his name? His name was Binger, right? The
Oh
state
yeah,
prosecutor.
oh yeah. That a hole.
Oh my, and we got to see the video, right? We got to see the video, hear the audio of the judge just screaming at the lawyer, and it was so beautiful.
Magical.
I know. Well, it's so unfortunate, so sad that because New York sucks so much, we don't get to see any of the juicy drama that went on today. We just have to read the transcript. Isn't that so sad?
It is. I mean, this is. I thought this was America. What the? We
So
where we air our dirty laundry on video.
yes, that's the American way. Okay, come on, reality TV shows. So so today should have been actually like a really top tier good day for Trump's defense, and unfortunately, it's got undercut. So let's talk about this. So today, Robert Costello was testifying for the defense. All right. Now, this is like a very kind of weird, somewhat confusing situation. So I'm going to try to help everyone walk through it. If you don't understand anything, Adam, let me know. Okay. Because
Okay,
I'm
I'm look.
operating off of
Look,
4 hours of sleep. So I could be
4 hours.
missing
Oh
something.
my goodness. Okay, well
Okay.
I'm paying very close attention today. Let's
Okay.
hear it. What's going on?
Okay.
But
So there's this
we
guy
have a
named,
headline first, like prosecutors
yes.
rest in Trump trial and Judge Merchan erupts at a witness.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So that's what we're talking about here. That's the
That's
situation.
what we're talking about here.
Okay.
Right. So we have a guy named Robert Costello who's a criminal defense attorney with ties to Rudy Giuliani. Okay, he's
Ooh,
done a lot of
okay.
work for Rudy Giuliani. And in 2018, when the FBI first raided Michael Cohen's house in regards to the Stormy Daniels stuff, after that, he's kind of set up through a mutual friend with this guy, Robert Costello. And
Okay.
Robert Costello emphasizes to Cohen, he says, "Listen, buddy, I'm like close, friends with Rudy Giuliani. I work for him." He sort of implies, or maybe directly says, that like if he works with Costello, he can be this sort of back channel communication link between Michael Cohen and the White House, essentially, right?
Okay.
because
Nice.
because at the time, Michael Cohen's like, oh no, I want to stay in good graces with Donald Trump because he's the president currently. Maybe they'll help me get out of trouble with the FBI. They're going to be afraid that I'm going to flip on them. What's going on here, right? This is kind of what Michael Cohen is concerned about. And
Right.
right. And so, okay. And also, it's important to note here that even though Cohen did have some kind of legal communications with Costello, enough that Cohen had to waive attorney-client privileges, he never actually paid Costello anything.
So there's no financial link, just a communication link.
Yeah, there's a bunch of communications and stuff. Okay.
All right.
Now, this is why this should have been really good testimony for Donald Trump. Costello testifies that Michael Cohen told him that Michael Cohen didn't have any evidence or any information about Trump knowing about the payments to Stormy Daniel.
Costello testified that.
Yes, right?
Okay.
And that would be a key piece of evidence for Trump's defense because Cohen is the only person, or Cohen's testimony is the only thing that they have. There is an audio recording, but it's like vague enough that you kind of need Cohen's testimony to tie the dots together.
Right. So the
Um,
audio is unclear what he actually means. And then you've got this Costello guy comes in and he's going to corroborate the story.
no, no. So you have this audio testimony of Trump kind of talking about payments, but it's like vague enough that you need Cohen's testimony to like be like, oh yeah, like to tie it together directly that Trump knows about the Stormy Daniel payments, right?
Okay. Okay.
And then
Gotcha.
then right, and then you have Costello come in here, and he's all like, listen, Michael Cohen told me personally that Donald Trump doesn't know anything about the payments to Stormy Daniel.
Okay, so Costello's on Trump's side.
Yes.
Right.
Right. So this
Gotcha.
should be like an easy slam dunk, good, witness testimony for Donald Trump, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so here's a little bit of more background. So this is what Costello testified to. He said that he said that when he met with Michael Cohen in 2018, that Michael Cohen was suicidal.
Okay, well, that's
Okay.
not good.
Right. He said Cohen told him 2 nights before the meeting that he was on the roof of the Regency Hotel and he was going to jump off and end himself because he couldn't handle the ongoing criminal case. Okay. And this is according to Politico because they were in the courtroom. Robert Costello contradicted Michael Cohen's sworn testimony regarding Trump's knowledge of Stormy Daniels' hush money payment, saying Cohen told him numerous times that, quote, Trump knew nothing about the payment. Costello offered a window into his initial meeting with Cohen, which took place on April 17th, 2018, only days after the FBI raided Cohen's properties. Costello said that Cohen was, quote, an absolute maniac at the beginning and throughout the meeting, pacing back and forth, left and right. Costello said Cohen explained what happened during the raids, complaining about his life being shattered, his family life being shattered, and he wanted Costello to explain to him his escape route. Okay.
Wow. Okay. He's
At
looking to this guy for advice.
Right. At this point, Costello says that he told Cohen that Cohen could make his legal problems disappear by offering prosecutors damaging information about Donald Trump.
Wow. Okay. This sounds like a classic loyalty test to me. Does he take the bait?
Wow. Oh, that's so fascinating that you say that. All right.
Look, so, this is a perfect test.
Put a pin in that. Okay. So then Costello then testified that Cohen told him 10 times a day, quote, I swear to God, Bob, I don't have anything on Donald Trump.
Okay, so he's not. Look, that's my question. Does he have motivation to lie? Like, if this is a classic loyalty test, then of course he's going to lie. Right?
Let me ask you a question.
The whole point of it.
What makes you think that this is a loyalty test? And what do you mean by that exactly?
Well, look, commonly, if you think someone is going to flip on you, you want to present the opportunity for them to flip on you in sort of a safe environment. You want them to tattle to someone that you know who's not going to go to the press, who's just going to tell you about it. You can say, okay, we can't trust this guy. So he's kind of set up that situation here, right? Costello has. Yeah.
Well, why is that your perception of Costello's behavior?
Well, it's just a guess. It's just a hunch.
Yeah, but I'm saying, I know, I get that, but I'm saying, what about the stories making that hunch pop out in your mind? Anything
well, first of all, Costello is, I mean, obviously he's testifying on Trump's side in this legal battle.
Yeah, that's now, right? This is in 2024. This, their first conversation happened in 2018.
It reads like a loyalty test.
Okay, interesting.
I'm not sure exactly what you're.
I'm curious as to your thought process.
Is it a loyalty test?
Well,
look, if someone comes to me and says, "Look, we can make all your problems go away if you turn on Donald Trump," I'm thinking, "Oh my God, this guy's a Trump loyalist. He wants to know if I'm going to turn." You might as well ask me, "Huh? Would you ever turn on Donald Trump?" Right. I would never tell Donald Trump if you were.
Of course,
I'll just be your pal here.
The reason I was just curious to ask you that is because that's exactly what Michael Cohen is claiming he thought too.
Well, that's what. Look, he could have.
That was a loyalty test, but I'm just curious as to how you came to that conclusion.
It's so obvious.
Okay.
Look, this is. I mean, this is kind of like storytelling 101, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Isn't this not straight out of Game of Thrones? What did you not think this was a loyalty test immediately, or?
I was confused.
Look, maybe it's not. Yeah. Maybe it's not. Maybe Costello is against. Well, in the moment when this is going on, you're thinking, okay, maybe he wants to turn on Trump, and he's looking to put some sort of anti-Trump coalition together. Like, you don't know. These are the ideas that are running together in your head. Right. I'd say now that it's been many, many years later, and Costello has turned up on Trump's side in this case, I'd say, okay, it probably was a loyalty test.
Sure, in
Yeah.
retrospect, right.
Yeah, of
But it's
course.
important to kind of figure out Cohen's state of mind, or for the jury to try to weigh Cohen's state of mind. Because so you have Costello who comes in, he testifies that Cohen told him specifically that Trump didn't know about the payments to Stormy Daniel. And then
Right.
Cohen,
Which is what he's supposed to say.
which is
What Trump wants him to say.
right. Well, if it was a test, right?
Of course.
Um,
Yeah.
and but
You passed.
Right. And now Cohen claims in his testimony before Costello even got on the stand that he viewed Costello as a a crony of Trump and that he viewed their conversations as loyalty tests, as you were saying, and thus he lied to Costello.
Yeah, no. Okay.
Right.
Look,
So
that seems credible to me.
So it's yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So that's why it's important to sort of figure out, what did Cohen actually think that, or is Cohen just saying that now, right? That would be the $1 million question. The thing that's kind of confusing to me about this story is that Costello kind of pitches himself to Cohen from the beginning as like, I'm a friend of Rudy Giuliani. I am like your way into talking to Donald Trump.
Right.
And then after that, he's literally sending Cohen emails things like let's see, I have it written down somewhere.
Well, look, this is why it reads as a loyalty test because he is saying, "Look, I can get you on the inside with the Trump administration," and then all of a sudden he's like, "I need
Mhm.
dirt on Donald Trump."
Right. So he sends Costello sends Cohen emails saying things like, "You are loved. If you want to call me, I will give you the details. There is never a doubt they are in our corner," meaning Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani. "Sleep well tonight. You have friends in high places." And so it's weird to me
Wow,
why,
we're
like,
doing a
he
number on
would
this
kind of
guy.
present himself like this to Cohen and then turn around and then think that like it wouldn't be super obvious to Cohen, like when he asked him to turn on Donald Trump, that he would like obviously say that he can't or he won't, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
why it's weird to me because like, well, it'd be super obvious. Like you presented yourself as the Trump back channel in the first place. Why would Cohen think like that this wasn't a test?
yeah.
That's why I'm
Hence the
confused by
reason it
this.
just reads obviously as a loyalty test.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. But so anyway.
I mean, look, if you wanted to do a loyalty test, a real loyalty test,
Mhm.
and this might be a testament of to how, kind of inept Trump's administration kind of is, you would get somebody that wasn't Costello, obviously, who didn't have all this backstory of being a Trump loyalist and whatnot,
Well,
right?
it's even yeah, you would. And
You'd
then
set
it's
up an opportunity where he could talk to somebody who it seemed more plausible that it wasn't a loyalty test.
though you have to wonder that when it comes with like Trump people working around Trump, how much of this is people flying by the seat of their pants or just kind of doing random things on their own and hoping it pleases Trump, which actually could help Trump's defense with that
Yeah, that
Cohen did this on
he
his
knew
own.
nothing about it, right?
Right, because after this, or like, obviously before he testified to this, but after this meeting with Cohen in 2018, Costello last year has has both sued Rudy Giuliani and Steve Bannon, claiming that they both have unpaid legal fees.
Oh wow.
But Costello is currently in a lawsuit. I don't think it's been settled yet. Last year, suing Rudy, saying that he owes him $1.4 million in legal fees over 4 years, and has won a lawsuit or been ordered. The judge has ordered Steve Bannon to pay Costello over $500,000 in unpaid legal fees. Okay,
Wow.
so
Okay.
it's so like so it's
He
just
probably needs money for his legal defense.
so okay. So anyway, this still, even though your perception is that this is a loyalty pledge, I still think this should have been a good day, at least publicly, for the Trump campaign, because it's like, okay, so you have a witness come out and he testifies that Cohen specifically told him that Trump doesn't know anything, which I don't think Cohen's claiming he lied, so he's not saying that he didn't say that, right?
Right.
And that does make it like more complicated and difficult for the jury to be like, okay, well, someone told you something, but he said that they lied about it, even though it directly destroys the state's case. Like it definitely adds a massive complication to the state's case. It makes it not very clean because now as a jury member, you have to be like, oh, the key witness for the state is saying that he lied to someone else. when he told them directly something that would destroy the state's case.
The winning narrative for the Trump team is that Trump knew nothing about the Stormy Daniels stuff,
Yes.
right? That Cohen
Yes.
knew everything was out operating on his own.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see how you, all of this testimony included, I don't see how you get past the fact that he like gave Cohen money for the Stormy Daniels payments.
Well,
Right? He reimbursed him.
Right. Well, Trump's defense is claiming that they didn't know what the money,
What it was for. They said it was just for legal
right?
fees.
They just thought it was
Okay.
for some.
I
They
gotcha.
trusted Cohen enough to just pay whatever I guess he said.
Right. It was just
right?
for legal fees, right?
Yeah, it was just for legal fees. You know, where Trump's accountants did it. Trump didn't have any. You know, like that's the defense. So
Okay.
So anyway, okay. So this all should have been like a good public day for Donald Trump, but the entire story kind of got overshadowed completely by the fact that accordingly, we haven't seen the full transcript yet, but accordingly, Costello acted like very obnoxious to the judge, and the judge like got completely emotionally insane and was like screaming and yelling at Robert Costello.
He copped an attitude. So Costello copped an attitude with the judge, and the judge lashed out at him.
Supposedly, yes.
Okay.
So
now,
this is what.
Look, now I have to get pictures of this judge and this Costello guy, just so at least we have some visual reference, right?
There's a picture. I mean, they're not very good because they have those like, you know, the people in the courtroom drawing the picture.
No, I don't want any of that stuff. I'll take a photo off.
I sent you a picture. It's supposed to be the judge yelling at him when he's a witness.
Is it?
The guy
don't
drew.
send me. Look, I don't want one of these drawings.
You know, like those little drawings.
Okay. At least I know what the guy looks like. I'll bring up the drawing. You can see how pathetic it is. Look, these artists.
I know.
At least do some spittle or something. Jeez.
They need to hire some anime manga artists to draw like the little vein foreheads and all the little, you know, angry signs around the head and all this stuff.
I should fix it up so I could just fix it on the fly here.
Yeah.
All right. So continue with the story. I'll find some pictures of those people.
Okay. So basically the full transcript isn't available yet, though supposedly the media has it. Basically what happened was that there was a lot of contention before he came on the witness stand about what exactly Costello could testify to. And the judge said that there's like a very narrow range of kind of questions he could answer. And Trump's legal team kept trying to supposedly ask him questions, and Costello tried to give answers to these questions outside the bounds of what he was supposed to talk about. And so the state would keep objecting, and the judge would sustain those objections. And apparently after the judge sustained those objections, saying you can't talk about that, Costello would supposedly keep trying to answer and talk about the things that he was told not to talk about.
Yeah, so he's trying to prejudice the jury. What kind of stuff is he dragging into the case?
They didn't say specifically.
Damn it.
I know. That's why I really want the full transcripts. It's not available yet. It will be available, I think, in a few days, but and so
oh my God, this guy looks like such a dweeb.
I know they all do. At one point,
the judge. The judge looks like a total.
I'm saying
dweeb.
Everyone looks like a dweeb.
I mean, I'd say the Costello guy looks more like a flasher, but
okay. There you go. It would be a flasher.
He has more of a flasher vibe, but
right. So according to what the transcript that the media has that they're reporting, they're saying after some of the objections were sustained, Costello muttered "geez" under his breath.
That's got to get under the judge's skin.
Yes.
Okay, we got Costello on the right and Judge on the left, for those of you who actually pulled your phones out.
All right. And so apparently the judge was so annoyed with these various eye rolling and muttering things under his breath. Apparently at some point Costello said something about striking the record, which a witness is not allowed to call for.
He's like, I'm the judge.
Right. Yeah. So the judge got so annoyed with all these various little things that he told the jury to leave the room.
Oh my!
And then this is what happened. They provide the direct transcript at that point. The judge says to Costello, so when there's a witness on the stand, if you don't like my ruling, you don't say geez, okay? And then you don't say strike it, because I'm the only one that can strike testimony in the courtroom. Do you understand that? Costello, I understand. Judge. And then if you don't like my ruling, you don't give me side eye and you don't roll your eyes. Do you understand that? Do you understand that? Costello, I understand that. I understand what you're saying. As Merkin was about to bring the jury back, Costello appeared to further irate the judge by fixing his gaze at him for an uncomfortably long time.
Oh my God, he's got a staring contest going.
The judge says, "Are you staring me down right now?" Costello, no, I'm just wondering how. At that point, the judge ordered the courtroom to be cleared, including reporters.
Oh my God, he's going to give him a beating.
Once the room was cleared, he continued. The judge said, "I'm putting you on notice that I'm putting you on notice that your conduct is contemptuous. If you try to stare me down one more time, I'll remove you from the stand. I will strike your entire testimony. Do you understand me?" And then Trump's lawyer said, "Yes, Judge, I understand." Then the judge said, "Listen to the question and answer the question." Costello, "Can I say something, please?" Judge, "No, this is not a conversation."
Oh my God, he wants to backtalk him.
Costello, "Okay." And at that point, they called the jury and the press back in, and they were able to proceed without the judge throwing Costello's testimony out of the courtroom. So,
wow. So what you said in the very beginning was perfect about the Kyle Rittenhouse case, because this is a magical moment.
Yes, like how would you? I would have loved to seen this. I would have loved,
or just hear the audio at least. Come on.
I know. Yeah, because I would love to see like what was like the lead up. What were all the little things that like led up to it to kind of give an accurate assessment? Like, was the judge, in my opinion, was he valid to get this angry? I can't really tell from this, from the transcript anyway.
Right. We want to see the eye rolls. We want to know the level of disdain he showed for the judge.
Right. Exactly. I want to see all these little personal interactions. They're so amusing to me. So anyway, but this is unfortunate, I think, for Trump's defense, at least maybe not for the jury. It's hard to tell how much the jury would kind of catch on to any of this stuff from the transcript, but at least publicly, because if you look up the story today, instead of the stories all being about, Costello claiming that Cohen told him that he didn't, Trump didn't know about the payments, instead, all the articles are, judge, rages at Costello. Like that's like 90% of the headlines.
Right. The jury's not supposed to look at that stuff, but
of course not. Of course not. But who knows if they do or not. It was kind of like the same thing, the Kyle Rittenhouse case. It seems like pretty apparent that if the lawyer or a witness is pissing off the judge and the judge says like, "Please escort the jury out," like I'm assuming the jury can kind of sense.
Oh, they know what's coming. Yeah.
That something is going to, like the judge is mad about something. So
and that's probably going to pique their interest enough to just do a little peek at the internet.
That's true. Or just to get a sense that like, oh, the judge don't like this guy.
Yeah.
So that was unfortunate for Trump's team. And it's also, it was kind of crazy. And this annoys me how biased the news is. Because when I was looking up any article about this from like a more left-wing publication, none of them would talk about Costello's claim that, or very few of them would talk about Costello's claim that Cohen told him specifically that Trump didn't know, which is like a key piece of information. They would solely focus so much on just the judge yelling at Costello. And then if I looked up a news article from a more right-wing source, they would like massively fixate on the fact that Costello told Cohen, Costello's claiming Cohen told him that Trump didn't know about the payment, but then kind of like downplay the judge yelling at Costello.
Right.
So it's just like, it's annoying to like piece together this information by like having to go through all these different articles, because there weren't very many articles that sort of just would explain the entire, story itself. You had to like do like a freaking hunt for this stuff. So
yeah, it sucks. All media has become partisan to the point where everybody's just hedging. They're totally leaving out part of the story. I mean, there needs to be some sort. This is the problem, though. So much of the media is driven by advertising dollars and getting eyeballs on your content, the kind of content that we want. People just like there's no money in producing that kind of content.
Mm-hmm.
Just the facts, ma'am, type of content.
Yeah. Exactly.
Nobody
Exactly.
wants. Yeah.
Because that's what I'm curious. I mean, I am curious about the judge yelling at him, and that's great. It's obviously newsworthy, but I also want to know about what he's claiming and whether, it's, true or not. Because obviously that's a big part of the case. That's like, that's the case hinges on Donald Trump having to have knowledge about the payment. That's like the main part of everything.
Oh, you silly
So
goose. You want to
I
know the
know.
facts?
I
Oh,
know. It's
can't you just
terrible.
get caught up in the drama of it?
I guess. I guess.
Ah.
I guess so.
Well, this is
Okay.
great. This is great stuff. Everything is supposed to be wrapped up on Tuesday. I guess we have closing arguments next Tuesday, right? So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and then the jury deliberates. Who knows how long that's going to take?
Right. Right.
Might be 15 minutes.
Could be 15 minutes, could be 15 days.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Right. Who knows? So we'll find out, I guess.
do you have a take on whether or not you think it was in fact a loyalty test, or
Um,
he's just
well,
lying?
the thing that's I mean, it definitely seems like it was a loyalty test because like his whole thing. This is why this is so weird to me. Okay, Costello from the beginning sort of introduces himself to Cohen as like his back channel to Trump and Giuliani.
Right.
So he's going to be on their side. So why would he think that he could even attempt to do a quote loyalty test to Cohen in the first place?
Well, if he wants Trump to chill out about Cohen, if Cohen is worried, or if Trump is worried that Cohen is going to flip on him, and he likes Cohen and Cohen is a resource to him, doing this kind of obvious loyalty test where Cohen knows what to say and says it, then he can go back to Trump and say, "Oh, Cohen's fine. Look, I did this test and he was completely solid. He's with us. We don't have to worry about him." Because he doesn't want to push Cohen out of the nest if Cohen is like useful for him.
So wait, are you saying that you think, okay, so are you saying that Trump would send a guy to do a loyalty test on Cohen in a very obvious way that Cohen would understand as a loyalty test? Because
No, I'm saying that if Trump is
you're right.
upset
Yeah.
and like this guy is trying to Costello is trying to chill Trump out about Cohen.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Right.
Because he is using Cohen, needs Cohen. He doesn't want Cohen leaving anytime soon because he's an ally of Cohen's, right?
No. He like literally he was an ally of Rudy Giuliani. He just like met Cohen essentially.
Right. Yeah, but maybe he wants to use him for something down the road. I don't know. Maybe he wants to have sex with Stormy Daniels, and he's like, "Look, this is the way in. He can hook me up." I don't know, but that would be the logic of it, right?
Right. Well, yes. Maybe not the Stormy Daniels thing.
Well, I mean, obviously, I just threw that out there.
Sure.
But we don't know. Look, this guy looks like a flasher. I mean, for all I know, he wants to have sex with Stormy Daniels, right?
Well, it could be that Costello was trying to further ingratiate himself with Giuliani and Trump for his own reasons, right?
Well, look, and he if he's the guy that brought Cohen into the organization, and they're worried about Cohen being like a liability, now all of a sudden he's got to make Cohen look okay. Otherwise, they're going to blame him.
Well, no, he didn't bring Cohen into anything, but
okay.
That's why I'm saying it seems weird to me that
so he was lying to Cohen about being able to bring him in. He didn't.
No. Okay, hold on. So Cohen was already, because Cohen used to be Trump's like fixer for years.
Right. Okay? Yeah. So he already knew him, right?
Right. So it's not. Yeah. So Cohen didn't need to like be brought into anything. Like he was already there. But then once the FBI raided his place and, they were kind of going after him for the Stormy Daniels stuff in 2018, that's when he meets Costello for the first time. Costello's a criminal defense attorney. So he's like meeting him under the guise of legal advice for his own criminal defense.
He's looking for legal advice for his own defense. Right. And Costello knows Trump.
Costello knows Giuliani and Trump. But he advertises that to Cohen, like, oh, I know Giuliani. I can be like, so the communication between, the parties, right?
And at this point in time, he's obviously buttering him up not to flip on Trump.
Yeah, so that's why, exactly. So that's why I'm like, well, why the fuck then would he think that he could do a loyalty test that wouldn't be super obvious to Michael Cohen at that point? That's what's confusing to me. Like, it just seems such like an obvious move.
It makes perfect sense that he's sending him, "Oh, I love you" texts. Like, please don't flip on us texts, right?
Yeah, but then it's then the loyalty test is pointless because it's going to be super obvious that it's like a loyalty test only has value if you don't realize it's a loyalty test, right?
I mean, it depends on the situation, obviously. Like, it depends upon if it's a real loyalty test or just a concocted loyalty
Hmm.
test, or a loyalty test where both parties know they're just trying to signal back to Trump that
Right.
everything is okay, but really both of them know
Hmm.
it's not okay. I mean, it depends upon the details of the situation,
Sure,
obviously.
sure,
Yeah.
sure. Well,
This
I
is
mean,
why it's fascinating. This is
right.
why it's in stories. This is why it's like
Yes.
constantly in Game of Thrones, because you're like, do they know? Do
Right.
they not know? Is this what's going on here? Can we trust him?
Okay. Yeah. So yes. So I guess to answer your question, I mean, yeah, obviously to me, Costello's what him saying, oh, you should flip on Trump, or that's the way to get the prosecutors off your back, obviously is a loyalty test just based on Costello's actions before and after that interaction. Obviously, seems to be the case. He wouldn't actually want Cohen to flip on Trump. But does that mean that Cohen lied to Costello? I don't know that the answer to that question. The problem, I think, for the jury is that you have Costello and Cohen both seem to be like highly untrustworthy individuals. Like Cohen is literally, went to jail for lying. Okay. He went to jail for perjury. And his defense to the jury now that supports the state's case is that, well, he lied to someone else. So it's just like you have a guy who appears to just lie constantly, is supposed to be your key witness, to like the linchpin of the case. That's not the position that the state ever wants to be in.
Yeah. Yeah. A
So
lot of people do that though.
because then the only thing right there is you just basically have to rely on the logic of, well, why exactly would Cohen like do all this on his own and not talk to Trump about it? Like, why would Cohen on his own decide to just pay off Stormy Daniel? Like, that's the only thing that, from my perspective, the jury would have to rely on to be like, to try to judge, whether they think Trump is innocent of this or not. And even then, it's not really beyond reasonable doubt because you're just like, well, it just wouldn't really make sense for Cohen to do this on his own. But is that enough to criminally convict someone?
I mean, don't you set these things up where there's plausible deniability that you're involved? I mean, that seems obvious to me.
No, no, you do. But what I'm saying is like, if Cohen didn't have all these problems as a witness, and you're just like, oh, and Cohen just testified like, yes, Donald Trump knew about this, obviously, and he was involved in these payments, blah, 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 right? And you didn't have any of this stuff about him lying like constantly like crazy, then you could just say, okay, well, the motive is there. Everything seems reasonable. It doesn't seem reasonable that Michael Cohen would on his own just decide to pay off Stormy Daniel, right?
Unless that's the deal they have.
Oh, you're saying
You
like
get a smart person involved and you
right.
say, look, things are going to come along that are going to be
Hmm.
bad for me. And I want you to protect me from those things. And I don't
Right,
want you
right.
to
That
talk to me about those
no,
things.
no, no.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just do it and
right.
bill me.
Okay, but if that's true, then Trump would still be 100% liable and guilty in this situation.
Well, I
That wouldn't
mean,
be a legal defense.
did he know about the specific payment? No. Did he
Even
know? Did he have this relationship with Cohen? Yes. I mean, it's all in the wording.
no, no. But what I'm saying is, my understanding. I could be wrong. My understanding is that if Trump had some deal with Cohen where he's like, I want you to go do all this, like, paying off people, protecting me from all this stuff, but don't tell me about the specifics. I'm pretty sure Trump would still be liable because he's still hiring him to do the very thing he did, right? He would still be liable in this case if that
Right, but
was right.
if an attorney asks you while you're on the stand, did you know about the Stormy Daniels payment? You say no. I
Right,
didn't.
right.
Of
Well,
course
Trump's not going
not.
to testify, so it doesn't matter.
I
But yes,
understand, but
right,
but
right.
look, if you ask somebody else involved, did Trump know about the Stormy Daniels payment?
Hmm.
No, he didn't.
Yeah,
He did not know about the
right,
Stormy Daniels payment because he was
right.
paying this guy to do a bunch of shit that he didn't know about.
Yeah, yeah. And there was an element to this that I didn't know about. Actually, it's funny. I watched Anna's coverage of this the other day,
Oh,
and
nice.
um, so in order for Cohen to pay off Stormy, he took out a home equity line of
No
credit.
way. Oh my God. No.
So I was like, holy shit.
The guy, oh my God. He doesn't
So
even
that's what
have the cash to cover it.
he didn't know. So he had to take out a home equity line of credit, and then that's what he was getting paid back for.
Well,
Yeah,
look, it
which makes it seem to like even more unlikely that Cohen just kind of like did this, on his own,
well,
or like
look,
out of the goodness of his heart.
it doesn't necessarily mean, because a lot of times rich people will take out lines of credit and use, whatever they have as collateral, but
Right.
they still are flush in stock and bonds and investments and
Sure, but you don't
property and
usually
all
want
kinds of
to
stuff.
throw your house on something risky, right?
Right, but if you, it's not really risky if you have a bunch of stocks you could just sell
I
and
guess.
pay
I
the
guess
loan
you just
off.
need it
Yeah.
quick, like cash quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
exactly.
guess
So
that's
I mean,
true.
it
But
looks bad
right
to us who all, only have one
to the
mortgage.
poorest.
Yeah, to us poors it looks bad, but
Okay.
to the rich, a lot of rich people, man, they live off of,
Right. I don't know what his.
because it's tax
Right.
free. It's basically tax free money. Yeah.
Right. Right. I don't know what Michael Cohen's financial situation was, at the time, but sure.
I don't either. Look,
Right.
I'm just saying it's fun to imagine that Michael Cohen is living hand to mouth and he can barely afford to pay this giant, basically hush money payment.
Mm-hmm.
But that could not be the case. That might not
Sure.
be the
That's a good
case.
point. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Anyway,
So it's a very interesting story, but I don't know if I was on the jury. I would. I don't know if I could, even though I think personally that there's like no fucking chance that Donald Trump didn't know about this. I don't know if the state actually made a very good case because it
I
all
mean,
relies basically on Cohen's testimony, and it's just that he's not a very trustworthy individual.
it would be fun to be in the jury room,
It would be, yeah.
like debating this kind of stuff. Hmm.
I don't know. I'd have
Yeah.
I'd have to like sit through the entire trial to have like a really good assessment on if I was on the jury how I would rule. Because as of now, I'm kind of like I'm not sure. I think Trump's completely guilty, but I don't know if the state proved it.
Do you
So
think do you think the relationship with Cohen was kind of what I laid out, where he said, just, you're going to operate independently. I'm not necessarily going to know what you're doing, but do it.
I mean that's possible. Cohen is claiming that Trump explicitly told him to was engaged in this. Like he's not
Right.
claiming that's the scenario that you laid out.
Right. Yeah,
So
but he would be incentivized to do that because he's trying
right
to s- to
to hit
bury
Trump.
Trump here. Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows what the truth is, though?
Well, I mean, Cohen's already gone to jail, right? So it's not. I mean, he could just say
Yeah, he's
whatever.
probably he's
Like
probably bitter about that and he wants to get
maybe he's
even.
just mad. Yeah, sure, I guess. I mean, that's what they're trying to say. Cohen's just like pissed off about everything. So
Some people just will travel to the ends of the earth to get revenge.
right, right.
Yeah.
That's true. That is true.
Lie, cheat, and steal.
Hmm. Well, it's definitely interesting. I am very curious to see how the jury rules on this. It's not clear to me what they're gonna rule. Well, actually, I still think it's gonna be a hung jury. That'd be my guess. They're not gonna be able to come to a decision.
It's just,
But
it's lame. We can't even see closing statements because
I know.
that wraps up everything in the case. Like opening
Right.
statements and closing statements are always awesome because they lay it out.
Well, yeah, we'll have to read the transcript, but won't get to see them, hear them. Yeah.
So we'll read the transcript on stream and
Right.
we'll make it sound cool and funny.
Okay.
Are there
Sketch for is anything else?
is there anything else, or is there any super chats?
Yeah. Sketch
Okay.
for 22 months says the S-class march on the authoritarian team shall continue.
The short bus march.
Wow. No, the super awesome class march on the ass team. Okay. JMac, our surrogate father, for $400 for $2.
I love that.
His name is all of that, right?
Right.
Says sleep is for the weak. I mean, true. That is
Yes.
true.
Yeah. Might want to check the spelling on that week. By the way.
Sella for $10 says, I sent another super chat yesterday, paraphrasing the super chat you missed because you guys were so nice about finding it and you missed that one.
No
Oh
way.
my God. What is wrong with us?
Okay, well, we'll definitely find that one because we can
my
find
God.
it from yesterday.
You find that one out. Jeez, terrible.
This is yesterday, Sulla. I'm on it.
Okay. Quit being a bunch of knuckle tracker ne'er-do-well.
What?
There you go. Ne'er-do-wells. I like that. You don't hear that one too often anymore.
No, that's an old timey
I know.
insult.
Telegore for $20 says I played a D&D character named Hassel Puker, who used his high charisma to start a riot with people yelling defund the guards, and I thought you guys might find that funny. I do. That's pretty funny. Instead of Hassan Piker, Hassel Puker. Very
Oh,
good.
that's good. That's what he does.
Yes. Kern for $5 says, yeah, sorry, fellas. I just don't buy the quote, Cohen lied out of loyalty excuse. This is the same man who stole 60K. He's not loyal. No. You have it backwards. It's not Cohen didn't lie out of loyalty. He lied out of pretending to be loyal to Trump. That's what Cohen's argument is. So
Is this it? Solo for $5. I said that lefties I know say Zionism is Israel can do what it wants, even if it has a right to exist. Aristocracy said the same when she was here. Did you read that one?
I did not know.
Okay. Then that must be it, right?
Yeah, because we were talking about like, well, how is it that Sam Cedar and other people they're so anti-Zionism, and that just means
Yeah.
Israel's right to exist, and so they're interpreting it in this completely different way.
Yeah, Israel can do whatever it wants.
Right.
Yeah,
Which,
I kind of
yeah.
see that.
Well, but that's if that's how they're interpreting it, and that's why I would actually be curious to hear Sam Cedar directly answer this question, how he interprets how he's defining Zionism. Because if that's the case, then we have a complete defund the police um, situation on our hands where there's like a word that means or a phrase that means something very specific, and then you have a bunch of people on the left sort of redefining it in a weird way that's like, well, it doesn't mean the horrible thing it sounds like it means, right? And it's like, how many times we have to go through this?
Yeah.
It's
All
obviously
the
both.
times.
Yeah, it's like defund the police, from the river to the sea, and Intifada, and now Zionism. Like, it's super suspicious to me. It's like if all these weird phrases in regards to the Israel-Palestine conflict all get defined in such a very hyper-specific way that suddenly they don't mean the horrible thing that you would think they would mean from their original interpretation. That's a very suspect, right?
Yeah.
So,
Anti-Zionism to me means supporting Hamas. It means Hamas can do whatever it wants to do.
right.
Look, I can play that game too, bitch.
Mr. Ubercross Esquire, look at that. He added Esquire.
Oh, sweet.
Thank you, our surrogate lawyer, Mr. Ubercross, for 25 months. Says alternatively, option one, give dirt on Trump. Option two, no dirt, get Trump on your side. It doesn't have to be a truck. I think you mean trick. Could be legal alternatives. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
go
what
ahead.
I think that's what you were saying, Adam, right?
Yeah, and at that point in time, he's kind of weighing his options. Like he hasn't been to jail. He's looking for legal advice. If
Right.
Trump is going to pay for his attorneys, he's gonna.
Or give him a
There's no way he's
pardon,
going to turn
maybe.
it.
Well, actually, I guess he can't because
Sure.
it's a state. It was a New York State thing. It wasn't a federal
Oh
thing,
yeah,
so I
yeah,
guess
yeah.
they can't pardon.
But still, I mean, you're trying to get some money out of Trump for legal fees or whatever.
Or no, I guess it was federal because the FBI raided his house. Never
Okay,
mind. I
pardon.
guess, yeah. Yeah, no, but that would be why it would, obviously, if you're in legal jeopardy, you know, before you flip on the president, you run away, whether he's you want him to be in your corner, right? It's better to have the president on your side in a legal dispute than not on your side. So,
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Solidoj for 2 hours says, who cares about the court sent Sitch the real story? Wow. Solidoj sent me a story. This is from Jacobin magazine. It says, infamous for its starvation wages, Walmart just posted staggering first quarter profits. The surge is a result of its strategic shift towards catering affluent shoppers while its full-time workers continue to rely on Medicaid and food stamps, at which point they were noted on Twitter. And the note says, Walmart non-corporate associates average hourly wage is 17.50 an hour. Is that true? $17.50 an hour is the average hourly wage. With full-time benefits? I'm skeptical if that's true, but that's pretty good if that's true, I guess. Jacobin pays writers 7 cents a word, so a Jacobin writer would have to write 250 words an hour continuously to make the same wage as a Walmart associate, but without benefits.
Hmm.
There you go. Is that a lot? 250? Isn't that 250 words an hour? Isn't that not a lot?
250 words an hour?
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
How many pages is it? It's only
Uh,
half a page or one
oh,
page if it's double spaced. I don't know. That doesn't seem. I mean,
what are we talking about here?
don't worry about it.
I looked at the Walmart stock. I just want to see. There's like a gap up from 60 a share to 63 a share. I'm assuming it's on earnings. It's
Hmm.
Thursday, May 16th
There you go.
earnings.
Anyway, Telegore for $20 for $50. Thank you so much, Telegore. Says, you guys going to cover the new philosophy tube video? My favorite parts were when she says there's not going to be fancy gimmicks and then stages a conversation with her pre-trans self where she conflates anti-trans dogma and anti-Semitism. So I did watch that video, and it's definitely on list of potential things to watch on a Sunday. It's so weird. So yeah, like there's a part in this philosophy tube video where where she has a male who looks nothing like philosophy tube supposed to play like the male version of herself from the past. Like she's a time traveler. She's a trans time traveler from the future who goes back in time to talk to her pre-transition self. And they argue about whether it made sense or was a good idea for her to transition or not. It's very weird and
Wow.
uncomfortable. So,
Sounds awful.
and this is
I
all supposed to
imagine you're
be,
going to subject me to it.
of course. Listen, if I have to subject myself to these things, you all have to suffer with me. All right.
Yeah.
And of course, this whole video is a defense of Judith Butler. That's the point of the video.
No.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So,
oh my.
Solid for Jar says, would you have Anna back on to talk about Israel? Of course, we'd have Anna back on to talk about anything.
We'll have Anna on any time.
Yeah.
She's been in the chat before, and she says she would come on if she's not. I mean, we're streaming when she's literally getting ready for work. So
right, yeah.
But look, if she wants to show up on a Sunday, she's always welcome. And I told her, look, you don't have to go on camera or anything. You just jump in and just yell at us. It'll be great. Right? I mean, look, it doesn't have to be a big production. That's something people like about the show.
Right.
Yeah.
Enlightened Centrist for $5 says, why would you as a billionaire use campaign money for it? I'm starting to doubt Trump's been a bankrupt boy all along. That is part of like the weird thing is like, why was it being paid for in this kind of weird, circuitous way? So,
well,
I mean, I guess the argument is that Trump definitely seems to have a reputation for being very cheap, according to many sources. But
well, and with interest rates interest rates have been zero. So keeping cash, like a lot of people don't want to keep cash. They want to keep their money invested in stocks,
right,
and real estate, where every time you sell something, you face like a tax event where
true.
Yeah. So it's like, this is why they get the loans. They're like, okay, if I take a loan out, I don't have to suffer any kind of tax event and I can put my stock up as collateral. I get the money and I make the payment. And I worry about paying the thing off later as I get income a little at a time.
Yeah, that is a good point. Because most people very rich people have all their money tied up in things, and whenever they make it liquid to free up cash to pay someone, they pay taxes gains as soon as they make it liquid, which their entire life is trying to avoiding to pay taxes on all their investments.
Of course. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah,
we poors do it completely differently.
Right.
We're like, take out a loan.
You're like, here's my wallet. Let me pull out some, like, here's a couple $100, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Ostaf for $5 says, let it be known that S-Class is soft class. Wow, look at that. Wow. Do you have what it takes to be supreme? Do you have what it takes to defend free will? Then join A-Team. Terrible.
Look at this. A-Team has got a resurgence going.
I don't know why. Because
it's like a revival.
It's because everyone is a communist and they all want to be the same rank. They want that sexy brigadier general rank. Okay.
Here it comes again. Here it comes again. Right here.
Commie team.
The straw man accusations.
Magor for 15 months says,
look.
Says
straw man, RTF in the chat, straw man class. Perfect.
There you go. Look at that. Sitch, what is my rank in S class? Keep in mind, I keep defecting to A-Team, so I think something like super private is appropriate. I like super private. That's a good one. You could be the super private spy. Okay. You You're like my undercover agent in A Team.
Oh my God.
That way you get this, you get to have the little pin that says like A Team Brigadier General, but like that you're actually a super S-class spy. All right. You have your own unique title now.
Say it one more time. It sounds so cool.
Super class spy.
No.
Super
Brigadier
class
General.
S-class spy. I like that.
No. Brigadier General.
Oh,
Say
okay.
it.
Sure,
Say
sure.
it.
Sure.
Say it.
Super Saiyan G for 9 months
so
says, I was
cool.
just watching your video. I'm going to Iran helicopter. There you go. I like it. Oh, should I read that message? That was actually pretty interesting. The helicopter message. Who sent that? Or can we say who sent that?
I don't know.
The helicopter message you sent me.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you don't have to name them, and they
Okay.
can name themselves if they feel like it.
Sure. Someone, because we were talking about like, how is it that helicopter pilots, crash in the mountains? Do they have radar that could like help them not crash the mountains, etc.? So we got this message, someone saying, hey, catching up on Monday stream, U.S. Black Hawk pilot here. How badass is that?
Yeah,
Something
look. They have
that.
to be A Team. Sounds like a Brigadier General to me.
Terrible. Oh, my power just blinked out, so.
Oh, it did. Well, you're still alive, so.
Okay. So, anyway, something that we train to is spatial disorientation, also known as vertigo, in the community. There are 3 grades: recognized, unrecognized, and incapacitating. Helicopter pilots are more susceptible than fixed wing pilots due to the unstable nature of rotorcraft. In conditions where you are in fog or clouds, you can quickly get disoriented, and even instruments, flying, and radar can't help sometimes. It's highly likely the Iranian pilot got disoriented and put the helo into the ground. Either that or icing conditions killed the lift factor of the rotor blades.
Ooh.
We train to those conditions, but it is very dangerous, and even seasoned pilots can fall into it. I have over 1,000 hours of Black Hawks, and I still get it if the conditions are right.
Cool.
So, wow, that's crazy. I didn't know flying helicopters was so dangerous.
Lots of great information there. And the coolest thing is, look, we got a Black Hawk pilot flying around and listening to our podcast.
Right. Yeah, well, thanks. That's super based.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I was going to give a shout out to Tom Moore, became a member of our Patreon too.
Yes, thank you so much.
We do have a Patreon. So I just was like, hey, we should shout this guy out. And then we completely forgot. So thank you, Tom. Thank you for joining our Patreon.
Thank you, Tom.
Yes.
Okay.
We want to share the love. It's not all about super chats, guys.
Mike Assange for 2 hours says, we're not communist. A Team has the best ass. Libertarian Sasquatch for 2 hours says, anti-Zionism does a lot of heavy lifting nowadays. Very true.
Yes, it does.
And Michael, thanks so much for 20 months, says, S-Class is the best class.
Look at that. Someone is stepping up. Someone is proud to be an S-Class private.
Everyone's proud to be an S-Class. All right. Okay. Let's talk about your favorite actress in the entire world.
Is it ScarJo?
It is ScarJo.
Oh, wow.
We all know how much Adam loves ScarJo, how much he loves that stupid movie.
Oh, yeah. Is it what? Underneath the skin?
Under the
skin or underneath the skin? I always get mixed up.
Under the skin, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. Who cares?
Okay.
That movie is amazing, but look up what's actually going on before you watch the movie and you'll like it 10 times better.
Right.
So.
Okay. So Sam Altman. Oh my God. I don't know if can you hear that? It's like thundering so loud.
No.
Okay. Well, Zoom can really cut things out. So Sam Altman did an oopsie here, pretty dumb oopsie. So I don't know if well, let me just read what happened. So the ChatGPT came out with all these commercials and trailers for their new ChatGPT, and it has a little voice that talks to you. And some people felt like one of the voices, the Sky voice, sounded very close to Scarlett Johansson's voice. Okay.
Right.
And Sam Altman actually tweeted out the day that all this stuff was being released. He tweeted out Her. That's all it said, Her, which is obviously in reference to the movie Her, where Scarlett Johansson plays a little robot voice that the Joker falls in love with.
Right.
Joaquin Phoenix falls in love with, right?
Yeah, it's not actually the Joker. It's the actor from the Joker.
It's the actor, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a statement now released yesterday by Scarlett Johansson. She says, last September, I received an offer from Sam Altman, who wanted to hire me to voice the current ChatGPT 4.0 system. He told me that he felt that by my voicing the system, I could bridge the gap between tech companies and creatives and help consumers to feel comfortable with the seismic shift concerning humans and AI. He said he felt my voice would be comforting to people. After much consideration for personal reasons, I declined the offer. 9 months later, my friends and family and the general public all noted how much the newest system named Sky sounded like me. When I heard the release demo, I was shocked, angered, and in disbelief that Mr. Altman would pursue a voice that sounded so eerily similar to mine that my closest friends and news outlets could not tell the difference. Mr. Altman even insinuated that the similarity was intentional, tweeting a single word, quote, her, a reference to the film which I voice the chat system, Samantha, who forms an intimate relationship with a human. 2 days before ChatGPT 4.0 demo was released, Mr. Altman contacted my agent asking me to reconsider. Before we could connect, the system was out there. As a result of their actions, I was forced to hire legal counsel who wrote 2 letters to Mr. Altman and OpenAI setting out what they have done and asking them to, in detail, explain the exact process by which they created the Sky voice. Consequently, OpenAI reluctantly agreed to take down the Sky voice. In a time
Sounds
where
like
we
they
are
did
in a
something
time where
bad.
I know. In a time where we're all grappling with deepfakes, our own likeness of our own work, our own identities, I believe these questions that deserve absolute clarity. I look forward to resolution in the form of transparency and the passages of appropriate legislation to help ensure that individuals' rights are protected.
Yeah, I knew this was going to happen. Like the likeness laws are going to be modified appropriately here. People should be able to own their likeness. You shouldn't be able to steal someone's likeness, someone's voice, someone's face, and use it for your own purposes.
Right.
Like, it's one thing if you take a picture of them out in public, right? We have laws around that, but we don't have laws around this situation where you're, basically using someone's likeness for your own gain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't really possible to this extent before, right?
Yeah. There needs to be carve-outs, obviously, around, like, we like, people paint pictures of celebrities and stuff like that.
Right.
Like, so there needs to be some way that can still exist, right?
Well, it's going to be difficult because they're going to have to split up, like what you're talking about. They're going to have to separate like parody. Like you still should be able to parody celebrities. But then, like in the past, if you wanted to parody celebrity, you would like
do an impression.
Of them, right? You wouldn't have like an AI voice that sounds like exactly like them that you trained on their voice, do that, right? So it's different.
Yeah. Well, something needs to be done.
Right. I have no clue. It's going to be very difficult, I think, for them to figure out where the line is. I don't know if Congress is going to, nut up and figure it out, or if it's going to basically just the courts are going to have to make some weird determination.
No, they are, because obviously you have very influential people who are like Scarlett Johansson here. This makes Congress perk up. They do. They're like, oh my God, if I write some legislation, I can talk to Scarlett Johansson. Get me Scarlett Johansson on the phone immediately.
That's a good point. Point.
This is how our society works.
Right.
If somebody does it to you or me, it's like, oh, well, suck it up. Deal with it. It's the internet.
So it was really surprising to me how dumb Sam Altman kind of was in this decision, because even if he didn't get, because they're claiming that they got some other person that it's not Scarlett Johansson's voice.
Yeah, they got a Scarlett Johansson impersonator.
Right, but it's like, okay, and that could be its own interesting case already. But then why would you tweet out her? Because like it'd be so obvious that she would have a problem with this if you get someone that sounds like her and you ask her to do it and she didn't do it. So you get someone else that sounds like her and then you tweet out her, right before it's going to drop so people think it's her. Like, obviously she's going to have a legal problem with this. This should be the most obvious thing that you want to avoid on the face of the planet.
Right.
And so, geez, it's really raining outside. Okay. So ChatGPT responded. They put out a very long blog post where they explain how their voicing capability, how they got the voices. and they do claim that they hired voice actors out of a series of 400 voice actors, and that it's not Scarlett Johansson's voice, that they did not use Scarlett Johansson's voice at all. So even though supposedly she claimed that they took down the voice, though some people are claiming they could still access it. So it's not clear to me what's going on with that, but
Right.
okay.
I'm spacing on the term for it when you take content and make new content out of it. What is that called?
Like like remix? What do you mean?
Yeah, remixes. Obviously us doing reaction videos are doing that, right? We're taking
Right.
other content and we're adding commentary to it. What is that called? There's like a typical name for it. You're
I don't know
space.
what I have no
You're
clue what you're even
spacing on it.
talking about.
You're
Like,
spacing on it too.
well,
The chat will get it.
like what
They'll
we
figure
do,
it out.
we're providing commentary on things.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's
But
a name for that.
mm-hmm.
It falls under fair use.
Right. Yeah, it would be fair use.
Transformative work. That's it right there.
Oh,
Thank
okay,
you guys.
sure.
Yeah.
Right.
So the question around the voice I like intuitively it seems like something around transformative work is the direction that they're going to go. I don't know how transformative it has to be. It's like, look, it's 99.9% Scarlett Johansson and like 10% or the remainder is like some other person.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, is that transformative? Probably not, right?
Well, in what, I don't know, like in what context? Like
Well, look,
taking someone's voice and then using it like, look, I took Scarlett Johansson's voice. I'm not saying ChatGPT did this, but I'm saying if you took Scarlett Johansson's voice, you fed it through your thing so you could use it and make her say whatever you want. That's not really I mean, the only thing that's transformative is what you're getting them to say. You're using their voice, right?
Right, but if you took Scarlett Johansson's voice and Dr. Girlfriend and mixed them together, you'd be like, okay,
right.
it's a transformative work, right?
Yes.
So if you took the slider and you're like, okay, well, let's make it 99.9% Scarlett Johansson and 0.01% Dr. Girlfriend. Look, but then the Sam Altman can bring up and go, look, it's transformative. Look at that. Look, here's Scarlett Johansson's voice, and here's our AI. It's like imperceptible to the human ear, but look, I can show you on the table look how different it is. Well, it's so different in all these ranges, only dogs can hear.
It would depend on what is the purpose. So, like, if you mixed Scarlett Johansson and Dr. Girlfriend's voice, who, if you guys don't know, Dr. Girlfriend talks like this. She's like a smoker, like a Jewish smoker, New York lady voice. Okay. So if you were to mix
a picture of Dr. Girlfriend.
Yeah, she looks very hot, but she has this horrible voice. If you were to mix those voices together and it's like super apparent that it's not actually Scarlett Johansson's voice, there'd be a strong case, I would think. They're like, okay, this is protected by like parody or transformative or whatever. The problem is if you use someone's voice currently, now they could have new legislation, but the problem is currently, I would imagine if you use someone's voice and it's unclear, like you're maybe marketing your product as if it really is the person's voice, that's when you get into trouble. And I think that's I think that's part of why Open AI kind of took the voice down, is because if Sam Altman hadn't tweeted out her, I think there would have been pretty strong legal protection because no one would have known, except for Scarlett Johansson, that they went out and asked her to do the voice. And if without him tweeting out her, people would just be like, oh, it sounds kind of like Scarlett Johansson from her. I wonder if that was intentional. Scarlett Johansson saying, I didn't do the voice. And they say, okay, well, they just got someone that sounds kind of like her. Like, I don't think she'd have a very strong case at that point. But because he tweeted out her, I think that really actually strengthens her case for her to go to court and say, oh, he's intentionally making people think that it's my voice when it's not. And he's going to try to like profit off of that.
Yeah, it could be substantially different from her voice, and then just making the correlation in people's minds makes them hear it more like Scarlett Johansson than ever. So I don't know why he would do that. It seems completely stupid, but people do stupid shit all the time. Right. So
like when I listen to it, and it's like sometimes it sounds like her, sometimes it doesn't sound like her. Like it kind of waxes and wanes depending on what they're saying. So
really?
I don't know how you feel about it, but
I didn't listen to it, so
oh,
yeah.
maybe we should find a video, right, so
We
we
can
can
bring it
listen
up.
to it.
Throw it on the
Yeah.
watch together if you want. Let's all hear together. Let's all understand.
Chat
Here's Doctor.
GPT
Bring up Doctor
skills.
Girlfriend while you're at it too. I want to hear her sexy voice. I want to hear that
Okay.
sexy, sexy voice.
Oh God. Let's do a Scarlett Johansson Chat
Well,
GPT comparison, Sky voice
let me
comparison.
bring up a picture of the hot voice actor for Doctor. It's like a dude, isn't it? It's got to be some dude. Anyway, all right. I'll read a super chat while you're looking.
Okay, here. Let's
No,
I think
I'm reading a
here,
super chat. We're
here's a
moving on.
video that ChatGPT put out.
Oh,
Okay. So this is just to see, have the voice talk a little bit, see if you guys think it sounds like Scarlett Johansson.
Today, we're going to try something new.
Talking to another AI that can see the world? This sounds like a plot twist in the AI universe. All right, let's do this.
All right.
I'm ready.
So what do you think?
sounds like Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, well, to me, it sounds like kind of like her. Like not like super like her, but like enough. They're like, is that Scarlett Johansson? Right?
Yeah.
So interesting. So I guess we'll see what happens with that.
All right. Yeah. Look, it's very fascinating stuff. Probably legislation will be up by next Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Should we watch that Dave Packman video?
Should we do a back? It's back button on the. It was in the watch together.
We can do a back button. Yeah.
We have
All right.
a
What's
voice.
going on? What's happening? What's happening in this video? What are we?
Okay. So someone the other day super chat said we should react to this, so we're gonna react to it.
Right. Did you watch it ahead of time?
I did watch it. Yes, I did watch it.
Okay.
It's kind of an interesting question is brought forward to Dave Packman relating to questions regarding children transitioning.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess we'll let David Packman lay it out.
Yeah.
The always when this topic comes up, I feel like I want like pen and paper to like chart out all the
arguments.
all of the arguments. Yeah, exactly. Because everyone always goes to very legalistic arguments, which is exactly where David Packman goes to. So
Right.
yeah. All right, here we go.
Voicemail number. That number is 219-2-David-P. You know, every once in a while we get a clever voicemail from someone who thinks they've really got me. They've really got me. Here is one such voicemail. Let's take a listen, and then I'm going to address the substance. Here we go.
Hey, David. I'm guessing you won't air this question because you're afraid to answer it.
I am not afraid to answer it. I am airing it right now. Please proceed.
But my question is, should we allow gay conversion therapy if we allow trans-affirming care?
Oh.
After all, gay conversion therapy doesn't require anybody to remove any body parts, and there's no chemical injection of hormones. And from what I understand, it's voluntary. So I think it's hypocritical for liberals to say that they want trans-affirming care, but not gay conversion therapy. They say gay conversion therapy is dangerous. So I'm curious what your thoughts would be on that, or if you're actually, my guess is you probably won't answer the question. All right.
This.
Okay, before he answers,
Uh-huh.
I think it's interesting that a lot of people say trans affirming care is gay conversion therapy. You're just changing the body instead of the mind.
Well, yeah, that was the complaint in a lot of the complaint in England, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there were parents who had gay
At the
children.
Tavistock Clinic, yes,
Right,
exactly.
yes,
We're
exactly.
transing the gay away. That's what a lot of the people who worked at the clinic said. Parents would bring their kids in, and they would be, the parents would say, "Oh, thank goodness, my kid is trans and not gay." They would hear this consistently, and they'd be like, "Well, why is that a problem?"
Right.
So, and if someone, if some person could look and say, will I live my life better as like a passing someone that people will perceive as like a cis person, a heterosexual cis person? Am I going to live a better life there that way, or am I going to live a better life as someone that will be perceived as a gay person? And I do think some people say, well, I'm better off as being perceived as cis and heteronormative, as they would say, which
Right.
does put trans affirming care in the conversion therapy camp, does it not?
If that's the rationale, then 100% yes.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
This guy thinks he's got me so dead to rights that I just am not going to tackle this question because obviously there's no sensible way to answer it. So here's a super simple answer. Question is, how can someone be for gender affirming care and against gay conversion therapy? The gender affirming care sometimes involves medication. It sometimes involves surgery, whereas the gay conversion therapy, or reparative therapy, as they sometimes call it, insane name, doesn't involve any of that. So what's the difference? Well, let's start with the obvious difference. Gender and sexual orientation are two different things. So at the top, we're talking about two totally different things, and we have to treat them individually. Gender affirming care is supported by major medical organizations, including the American Medical Association, the American Psychiatric Association, the World Health Organization. Gender affirming care is recognized as effective and necessary medical response to gender dysphoria. Gay conversion therapy, also known as conversion therapy or reparative therapy, lacks any scientific validation, is broadly condemned by the very same medical and psychological institutions that say gender affirming care seems evidence-based, and studies regularly show attempting to change someone's sexual orientation is not only ineffective, but it can be extremely harmful.
So he just straight out appeals to all of these institutions.
Yeah. Institutional authority. Right.
Now, a lot of the institutions in Europe have completely reversed themselves on these positions.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Does he bring that up? Does he mention, oh, by the way, the scientific community is split on this?
No, he doesn't bring that up at all. Right. It's just, well, that is kind of part of the interesting thing. He doesn't bring that up at all. But does that matter, I guess, in terms of the argument? Because I guess
the appeal to authority argument?
Well, it would definitely, there would be no appeal to authority if that was the case, right?
Of course, yeah. It completely annihilates that argument. I don't know that appeal to authority, I mean, that's a fallacy, right? Not an argument.
Well, it's only a fallacy if the authority, it's like an appeal to an authority that doesn't actually have authority on the subject matter, right?
Well, look, whenever you appeal to authority, you're saying that authority you're really appealing to evidence. You're saying that authority has some understanding of the evidence, and you're appealing to the evidence.
Right. Even if you don't know it specifically, you're saying, some expert does know this information, and that's what you're relying on their, testimony, essentially.
If you read enough of these books like Time to Think, The Story of the Tavistock Clinic, you realize that a lot of these authorities that people are turning to, they don't have the evidence.
Right.
They don't have any evidence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So it just completely falls apart.
Mm-hmm.
Look, why isn't David Pakman just inviting Jesse Singal on to have a conversation with him about it? He's looked at a lot of the evidence. I'm sure he can give David Pakman. He can brush him up on the evidence.
Jesse Singal is a well-known transphobic bigot who lies, and you can't trust him.
Jesse Singal is an amazing journalist who's actually looked at the evidence impartially and kind of written about it.
Jesse Singal is a well-known liar who I'm pretty sure regularly kills and eats puppies. Okay.
Look, Sitch is obviously joking. For those of you who don't know, Jesse Singal is like officially canceled by the trans community.
Oh no, I'm not joking. Listen, I talked
reporting honestly on this subject.
I've been on Jesse Singal's podcast. He's come on our show, and when I was on his podcast, he was offering me puppies to eat before the show so that I'd have the vitality, appropriately to banter with him live.
I think it was last time we've had Jesse Singal on a couple times. I think the last time he was on, he introduced himself as world famous transphobe.
Right.
Which that's what I like about Jesse is like he's gonna go for the joke, even if
Yes.
most people don't get it, but
Yes.
whatever. So yeah. We're looking forward to that David Pakman.
That would actually
Gender-
that would be interesting, but I don't know. I haven't seen that many good conversations where David Pakman's had conversations with people that like disagree with him or that tell him he's said something wrong. Like whenever I've seen those conversations, David Pakman acts really smug and dismissive.
He does, yeah. Yeah, this is his grift. He doesn't want anyone coming on his territory.
Right.
We should look at it. David Pakman's main grift is that Trump is really senile and Biden is right there. He's not senile at all. Did you see the clip going around of Biden basically saying he was vice president during the pandemic?
During COVID, yeah, I did see that.
Okay, bud. That's pretty hilarious.
Well, and it's interesting because like you're right, like Dave Pakman, there was someone, I forget his name. I saw this other commentary guy who seems like he's a Dave Pakman clone. And they have this weird thing where they keep being like, Donald Trump says unhinged thing. Marjorie Taylor Greene is going crazy. Like they have all these like things like about how these Republican figures are, going crazy, losing their grip on reality. And then I watch the clip and it's just like, oh, it's just the Republicans saying something that they disagree with and think is stupid. I'm like,
yeah.
well, wait a minute. Like, and they get all these views. Like, I guess that's what the people want. They want to see Republicans saying something they disagree with and then pretend that that means that they've gone crazy, which is like, okay, I guess.
Yeah.
Affirming care is provided with the consent of the patient, guardians or parents in the case of a minor. The idea is let's reduce psychological distress. Let's improve quality of life. Conversion therapy often is targeting vulnerable LGBTQ youth.
Look, affirmative care is often targeting vulnerable LGBT youth. You dumbass. That's the whole argument, right?
Right.
It sometimes is pressured or forced by guardians or cultural expectations or religion.
It's sometimes look. This is so ironic here.
Isn't
All
it?
of this applies to affirmative care.
Yep.
Religious bodies. It inflicts harm. It doesn't alleviate harm.
Oh yeah, cutting off your dick. That doesn't inflict any harm at all.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, I'm getting triggered, Sitch. I'm getting triggered. I'm getting that righteous indignation here. How can someone who claims to be intelligent say that the affirmative care model doesn't inflict any harm?
Well,
How can someone say that?
It all boils down to, so if you believe the institutions that he's citing are accurate, then his argument would be a correct argument. That's what it lies on, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it was true that there wasn't some kind of problem with the affirmative care model for underage kids, if it's true that there was, they were correctly identifying people that have this thing called gender dysphoria and that the treatment was relieving the symptoms and preventing suicide and all these things. If that was all true, then the argument he's making would be completely solid, right?
Right.
So he's operating, but since we call into question that the fact base is actually true, and we think it's not true based on a different set of evidence, like to us, it seems like it's the same thing. So this really just shows how when you're operating from a different fact pattern, like you can get completely blindsided by all these things.
Yeah, and I've often said on the show, the fact pattern people choose to believe, and often it is a choice to believe it.
Sure.
It is what makes your argument. Like a certain set of facts are obviously going to lead you to a conclusion, and a different set of facts are going to lead you to a different conclusion. Yeah.
Right.
So a lot of the argument is not really arguing over the substance of the argument. It's arguing over what the fact pattern is.
Yes. And that's what's kind of interesting to me about the argument here when I was watching this is that, so you have the religious, the very religious Christian people who are very anti-gay, and they're operating with their fact pattern of, God hates gay people, being gay is some kind of immoral sin. and therefore I'm like improving and helping someone by making them not gay, right? Getting them
Right,
to pay the
yes.
gay away or whatever ridiculous shit they're
Right.
trying to do. And then by the same notion, you have people on the other side who are operating with this fact pattern of like, well, you have to have affirmative care. There's all these trans kids, they can all correctly identify that they're trans. There isn't some kind of potential problem with a lot of people having false positives or regrets, blah, blah, blah. And they're operating with that kind of fact pattern. So you have two groups of people that are both operating with what I would say are wildly inaccurate fact patterns that are making, radical decisions want to make radical decisions about children in response to that.
Right. Well, I do think there is some unconscious homophobia that goes on inside a lot of the people who are on the side of the affirmative care model, where they're saying, look, they're basically saying they're both, the right and the left have homophobes that are both turning to different solutions to solve their homophobia problem. They're like, look, the left is like, we're going to turn these people into normal heterosexual people by changing by changing their body. And the right is saying, we're going to change their mind. But they're both marching towards the same goal. That's what I think is like.
For some of them, yeah.
Yeah, well, look, maybe not David Pakman.
Yeah,
but
sure.
There are definitely people who are in that camp.
Well, it's a little difficult for like the parents that say like, "Oh, I'm glad that they're not going to be gay or whatever." It'd be hard to parse out like how many people that's the motivation and how many people that's like the cope after the fact, right?
I don't know, but I mean, I think the person also does a calculation on how much discrimination they're going to suffer being gay and how much discrimination they're going to suffer being trans. But I do think it's easy to say, like, if I'm going to pass as cis, then I'm going to suffer no discrimination, right?
Like, but that's a big if, right? There's a lot of trans people that don't seem like they pass even remotely.
Yeah, but if you're Blair White, and look, people have this thing called an optimism bias. They're like, look, I'm going to be Blair White. No one's going to know I'm trans.
Sure.
Yeah.
The goal of gender affirming care is let's support and affirm an individual's self-identified gender identity. Let's be positive. It's a self-affirming action. The conversion therapy seeks to deny, suppress, and quite frankly, denounce in a way an individual's sexual orientation or gender identity. It's sometimes used to try to talk people out of that as well. Now, could it be that someone is confused about being trans? Sure. Is it rare? It seems to be pretty rare, but it does happen, sure. That doesn't really prove anything, and it doesn't really bridge the laughable gap between the validity of gender affirming care and the absurdity of gay conversion therapy. So there's no gotcha here. There's no reason I'd be scared to talk about this on the show. Now, I am very open to the idea that there is an element here of individuals who are struggling with something in their lives, and their belief about what the solution is gets drawn to something that is in the media. I don't want to make any offensive comparisons, but what I will tell you is I've known people who, in times of difficulty, started to believe that their diet was the problem, and they started fixating on extreme diets. They went full carnivore, then they went fruits and nuts only, then they went raw only. The diet was never the problem. These were unresolved issues that they had that were more suitable for therapy than for anything else.
So he's a tad reasonable here with this could be other issues, and people are fixating on gender, and that's what's causing the false positives, people being wrongly diagnosed.
Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay. Because I got distracted because I'm very annoyed that he brings up diet, because I think he completely misunderstands something. First of all, a lot of people's psychological, emotional problems are highly tied into their diet. And it's not necessarily that like you eat certain foods and it's going to make you sad. It's more like you eat certain foods that are unhealthy for you that weaken your body's ability to process certain things and to deal with certain things, including emotional situations. So like you could have a problem in your life. Like if you're healthy, you could have some kind of problem in your life that, you know, you go, oh, that sucks, but it would kind of roll off of you emotionally. Like you'd be able to deal with it, cope with it. But if you're in an unhealthy state of, you know, physical, you know, if your body's in an unhealthy state for completely unrelated reasons and some emotional thing hits you, it could completely like devastate you
Yeah.
because you're weakened. And so a lot of times like your diet is going to be highly, like if you're eating trash and you're unhealthy because you're eating trash, that is definitely going to make it so like life's ups and downs hit you much harder.
Yeah, I always say your food is your medicine and your medicine is your food.
Right.
Like eating right is very important. A lot of people
Yes, exactly.
discount it. Like they think, look, I can eat trash all day long. And
Right.
as long as I have enough calories each day, I can keep it together.
And people are kind of, this is kind of the problem. People are kind of starting to realize that, which is why, you know, we talk about people trying to do all these diets. Now, I don't think there's a good consensus yet broadly about like what exactly is the solution, right? There's not a good consensus on that yet, but that doesn't mean that there's not going to, we're not going to find one.
Well, and I do think, you know, there's a wide diversity of human beings that, you know, one diet could work for one person, a different diet for another person. So some experimentation is important.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Allergic reactions exist.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but I think there is some admission here about the false positives. And I do think it has to do with hedging. I think we're at a tipping point with this stuff. I think there's going to be more and more false positives, more and more lawsuits, more and more people coming out talking about the horrors that they endured. It's going to be a lot like the conversion therapy cases where people were talking about, oh yeah, they shocked my brain and shit. They tried to make me straight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those horror stories are going to exist.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it possible that some folks who come to believe that the issue is that they are trans is the solution and it really is not? It does sometimes happen. And this is part of why the standard of care when it comes to gender affirming care goes through psychotherapy. And that's one of the great things about it. So the comparisons, the analogies, they don't make any sense. It's not a gotcha. It's quite frankly a question that's been answered many times before. All right, we've got a great bonus show for you today.
So, but that's the big problem is that essentially we have a situation where a lot of people in the field of psychology have either become corrupted ideologically or, you know, if you're referred specifically to a gender specialist, you know, it's like that's their entire job. They're kind of both ideologically and economically incentivized to produce clients who have gender dysphoria or that they say have gender dysphoria.
Right. Yeah.
So
that's all they see.
Right. It's like if you go to a surgeon, they're going to be like, oh, well, surgery is your best option. Like, oh, well, what a surprise, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So.
All right. That was interesting.
Right. So I do think on one level, I do think the comparison makes sense. The gay conversion comparison to transitioning children comparison. On one level, it doesn't make sense because the argument will be the argument. Like, I don't know how persuasive it will be because the argument will just be the argument that Dave Pakman lays out, which is that, well, the difference is gay conversion is wrong scientifically and transitioning is right scientifically. And so I don't know if this would be a persuasive argument to like drop on someone.
Right.
So.
Yeah, the appeal to authority works. That's why he does it.
Right.
That's why he makes the appeal to authority.
Right.
But there's been many times where science has got it wrong. And I think like there's the WPATH files that a lot of people are talking about online. There's a couple of content creators that are going into the various places where the scientific community, specifically the medical community, did get it wrong, like catastrophically. So just this idea, and I think it is hubris to just say, oh, these organizations are correct. And I mean, the right answer is, get a second opinion, maybe go to someone who's skeptical of gender affirming care, get
Mhm.
their opinion, kind of weigh the pros and cons. I understand the arguments, and look, obviously there are trans people. There are people who are going to go on to be trans adults. We've had trans adults with us forever, right? The problem that I have is where kids are involved, because kids are so susceptible to these false positives, and they can really destroy their lives, and nobody's really taking that into consideration
Of course. Yeah.
to the level that I think they should.
hmm
So that's
Definitely.
my critique.
Definitely. Yeah. I agree. Okay. Moondoggy for $20. Thank you so much, Moondoggy. Says, I do find the quote fair use, transformative, etc. argument interesting because I see people suddenly having a blind eye when it comes to things they like. I do wonder where the line is or if it's just subjective, especially in art.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think about that, in my own art. I do like to do art that is culturally relevant. So, but I do also think in terms of it's got to be transformative. I got to find a way to make it my own as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, people always rationalize things, right? I mean, the amount of theft that goes on. I'm not talking about AI or anything, but just like the amount of theft of movies, music, like pornography. Like it's got to be literally like in the billions of dollars every year, and people just, I guess, accept it because everyone does it. So,
Right.
you
Yeah,
know,
you're talking like real, like copying movies and stuff like
yeah, I'm
that.
the amount of content
Yeah.
theft has to be in the billions in America alone every year.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it is interesting because it's kind of that nowadays these like musicians and stuff like that, they just put their whole album on YouTube. It's
because they
kind of
have to.
well, and it's the musicians had always made money off of touring anyway. So, and it's
Right.
the record labels that made money off of the album and distributing the album. Now the content creators can just distribute it themselves.
hmm
And since they weren't really making that much money from the record companies anyway, it's easy just to cut them out, right?
Maybe. I mean, they're still
Yeah.
obviously it's still the big people. You know, they have producers and labels and all that stuff.
Sure, yeah. Pay them
Yeah.
a salary.
Right. And they get, they now have to basically split their profits with YouTube or Spotify or one of these other services. And that's how people get their music. So,
Oh yeah, look,
yeah.
ad revenue.
Steel
Interesting.
Wrath for $10 says, I was mocking Pac-Man in WATP's comments, and some guy came back with Pac-Man has a genius IQ. I bet you don't believe in dinosaurs. Some people are truly lost.
Yeah, they love to straw man. They love to use a stereotype.
hmm
They're just completely oblivious to the fact that there's any sort of pushback from actual scientists and people
Right.
who have worked in the gender affirming care system. Yeah.
Mhm. That is pretty funny. It is annoying to me how like there's so many normie like lefty people out there who are just so I don't even think that they're leftists. They're just so completely detached from knowing anything about like what's going on the internet right now, talking the other side, that if you provide any pushback on anyone on the left, they just automatically assume as like as you were saying, like, oh, you must be someone who doesn't believe in dinosaurs. You must be some like crazy right winger. And you're like, okay, you're just so out of the conversation.
Right. Yeah.
The Depressed Canadian for $20. Thanks so much. Says the cast review clearly showed there's nowhere near enough evidence that transition works. The data is incredibly weak. It also highlighted that social transition is unreliable as it can often lead a child down a path to medicalization from heavy social pressure and suggestion. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's my understanding as well. So,
Yeah.
and that's the danger of why, I was very cautious about this from the beginning and was saying, we should, you just had to look at the numbers originally from the original, from the original DSM-5 meta-analysis when they'd say, okay, the the rate of children having desistance towards gender dysphoria when they went through puberty was somewhere between 60 and 90%. And if that number drops substantially, which it has, it's dropped to like somewhere between 2 to 20% when you put them on puberty blockers or socially transition them, that's obviously a massively clear indication that there could be a big problem here with these sorts of, therapies, right? Or procedures or whatever you want to call them.
They bring that up in the Time to Think book about the Tavistock, the closing of the Tavistock clinic in the UK. I don't know if it's a cast review, but in that book, they talk about there were people that suspected they were doing harm to their patients, and the clinic did a giant review, and they basically buried this review. So the review didn't come out until there was some sort of court filings years later, when more people were coming out, with the intuition that they were actually harming their patients, and they were like, "What? They did this giant review like years ago, and their evidence was super shaky then, and none of us know about it."
Yep.
It's like complete it's these partisan blinders. These partisan organizations got involved, and they were like, "Oh, this evidence hurts our political cause. We can't let this out." There's no science. Look, the science is definitely against them.
Oh yeah. And I think what I'm afraid of what's going to happen is that essentially the numbers are going to shift with the next,
oh yeah,
like a few generations, or not generations, but like the next few, crop of kids. The numbers are going to start shifting, like, because we saw a big increase, and then we're going to start to see like a decrease. This is what I think is going to happen. And you start to see a big decrease, and people on the left who push this stuff are just going to quietly pretend like nothing has changed and nothing has happened, and just never talk about it ever again.
Yeah.
And just try to bury the fact that there was this like weird, massive craze that, probably, hurt a lot of people, a lot of children, and they're just going to pretend like it was never a thing. So,
well, we're not going to let them forget.
No, of course not. But
remember when we had Hunter Avalon on our show to talk about this stuff,
and
he kept trying to go to the long-term studies that can't possibly exist because it hasn't been a long term.
Yes.
We're like trying to explain it to him. Don't you understand? There can't be a long-term study because there hasn't been enough time, you moron.
Yes, right. But that's the problem, is that they don't want to just accept that, like, okay, well, maybe this doesn't make sense to be testing this stuff, right?
Yeah, because they're out here virtue signaling for ad dollars.
It's annoying to me that like certain, and this happens on both the left and right, there'll be like a code word. There's like a phrase, a thought terminating cliche that people just latch onto and they just repeat. And with the trans stuff, it's like, was it, the puberty blockers have been,
safe, effective,
safe, effective, and reversible long-term study.
Reversible,
right?
Yeah.
Right. They have like their little mantra, and you're like, okay, none of those things are true.
It has to be true. I heard Vosh say it on a live stream.
Right. It's just like, it's so annoying. But Zoke for $2. Thank you, Zoke. Says, still working on the YouTube video, Sitch. However, editing and making stuff for the video to just end up getting cut is a rather big pain, and it's just the nature of doing videos. I now understand why Sitch doesn't do YouTube videos.
I mean, we're getting better on our YouTube game for our recorded videos. I do think Sitch is doing a lot of deep dive research. We're talking a little bit about them before we actually record them. So we're definitely not doing Sitch level edited videos, but
that's what they're talking about.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. The goal is to get close to that, as close as we can, and make it still feasible. Yeah.
Well, now is okay. Like, you have the added benefit. Back in my day, so many years ago, we didn't have all these amazing AI programs where you can just be like, hey, AI, can you cut out this thing like perfectly, mask it perfectly, and then upscale it perfectly for me? And like, oh, can you just do a like AI, generative fill in the background here for me? Or you can, like, there was so much time for me making videos, was me just trying to find like the pictures to use. And now with AI, I can literally just type in what I want the picture to be, and it would just make it for me. So,
have you used like Descript or one of those AI editors?
I haven't. I have not tried any of those yet.
Yeah.
So, I've heard
It's pretty
kind
amazing.
of I've heard mixed things about whether those are good or not. So, have you found like good luck with those?
Yeah, I mean that's how they're making Hassan not sound like a moron.
Yeah, they're just using AI to cut all the pauses out.
Well, and you can cut out the word like. You
Oh,
can
that's
say like
true.
find likes and delete them.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
And
See, and that'd be another thing too. I didn't even think about that. I could just clone my voice. I wouldn't even have to redo audio for this. I just have the computer do the voice, right?
Yeah.
Just punch in the script. Or if you say something wrong, you could just have, you probably wouldn't want to do the whole audio of the computer, but you could just, punch in for little things you must make up mistakes for. So
I kept trying to get think before you sleep to use it. I was like, I mean, you're he told me that he tries to make his voice sound as much like a robot anyway. And I was like, look, this is perfect.
was
You
that
just-
intentional? I just assumed that was his natural like tone of voice.
No, I think he does it because he thinks it's funny, but I mean, it is kind of funny, but
Right.
I was like, look, just have the computer do your first draft of the voiceover and you save half a day.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
recording the voiceover is
Takes
I mean,
forever.
yeah.
I know, and it's actually super draining when I do the videos to do all that stuff.
Yeah, just do the highlight points. Go in and do a couple highlight points that are boring and spice it up, and yeah, you're done.
That's interesting. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe if I make a video again, I'll try to use a bunch of AI tricks. See if it makes it
I'm
easier.
planning on making videos again, so I'm definitely going to be using that.
Nice.
So, yeah,
nice.
I got my big video comeback in the works. It's currently it's like kind of top secret, but
okay, excited.
You guys will hear about it on the show first.
TL1524 for $5 says, got back from a national PA trade show yesterday. Was shocked of the amount of PA students that were looking to go into LGBT healthcare specifically.
What?
Wow.
Oh my God.
That's pretty crazy.
You have 5% of the population is LGBT. And you're going to go into, you're like, look, there's 95% of the population over here who all need health care. Let me go for the 5% of people who need health care. That's going to be a good business model.
Right.
What do you think of that, Sitch?
I think that's a terrible business model.
And not only that, look, when I was growing up, we were trying to get the word out that gay people were just normal people, right? Now they need their own fucking doctor. They're so different from normal human beings that they need a separate doctor for them. Please, do you know the kind of message that sends? It makes it seem like they're aliens.
Yeah, but that's the way it is now. We've moved away from liberalism, where everyone's trying to, be treated as an individual, assimilating into some sort of broader universal culture, into like, you're part of the collective oppressed LGBT group of people, right?
My guess is regular doctors can handle the healthcare needs of a gay guy.
Right.
It's not that
they can't though, because
specific.
If you're not gay, then you're blind to the systemic injustices of medicine that you're pushing upon your gay patient. Right?
Where is the suicide booth? Please show me the way.
That's the argument. It's like, oh, listen, if
I cannot go on. This is terrible.
If you're straight, then you're all, you're a homophobe and a transphobe. If you're straight, and it's not your fault. So like you just automatically are that way because society is that way. If you're white, you're automatically racist because society's that way and you can't really fight against it. Like that's the insane argument that's being levied here.
Right.
So
we're both white. We're racist and homophobes because we're white and straight.
Yes.
Dang.
I know.
So sad. It's almost like they believe in biological determinism.
It is kind of funny. Like the left has gone completely in the biological determinist route. So only they say it's not biological, it's social. So therefore that makes it better somehow. You're like, well, neither way, you're taking away my agency and free will. So I'd say it's the same fucking thing. But
right.
Filthy Casual for $5 says Super S Class or SS for short. That's pretty funny. Yeah, there you go. Not a good acronym. Side note, have you seen the state of Ricada? I did. Oh, that was pretty bad.
Do you want to bring it up?
No, I don't want to bring it up. No,
Let's bring it up.
No,
Oh,
no.
We have to shame him into
No!
sobriety.
Stop.
Look,
Yeah.
last time we had a conversation with Ricada, I do think we could have had a much better conversation if alcohol wasn't involved. I know a little bit of his brand is like, I'm the attorney that
Are you talking about our last
drinks.
conversation or our first conversation?
Our last conversation with him.
I thought our last conversation was fine. I thought our first conversation with him was a disaster. But
It was a conversation where we were on Rumble and he just got completely wasted. And
that was the first conversation. The last conversation we had
Okay.
was about oh my God, what was it? It was you remember he talked to Destiny about some legal thing?
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right. It was. Yeah. Okay. That was a good conversation.
Yeah,
that kind of made up for it a bit. But I
Right.
do look, and a lot of you guys were saying that alcohol was involved and Ricada's way better when he doesn't drink too much. And
Mhm.
it made me think, well, fucking don't drink on live streams. But I mean, he is, I don't know if you've watched Ricada streams, but I mean, that's like part of his business model is use super chat.
And he drinks, yeah.
And he drinks. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So.
No, obviously, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, look.
Dr. Lewis says, I'm pretty sure the video is doctored. His stream last night looks fine. Oh, wait, no, you're saying
okay.
never mind. Okay, never mind. Well, I don't know. I just saw the clip. I didn't go look to see if it was like fake or something from source materials. I'm assuming it's real.
Is it an AI clip? Did we get duped?
I mean, if it's an AI clip, that's pretty scary, but.
So the clip, we're not going to watch it, but the clip is just Nick Ricada appears to be obliterated. And then at the end of the clip, he's like, oh my God, is my camera still on? So it looks like he didn't know he was being recorded. And
yeah, and he was like
wasted.
tremoring or something, which some people were saying is some kind of alcoholism symptom.
I have a friend
he looked really sick, yeah.
One of my best friends from high school is an alcoholic. Like his favorite movie is it Leaving Las Vegas? That's the one about Nicolas Cage plays the alcoholic who basically goes to Vegas to kill himself in a hotel room, drink himself to death. Like that's literally his hero.
Right.
And I mean, I can't hang out with him regularly, obviously, because it's just too depressing, but he gets those tremors. And you think this is fake. I'm like, you're faking this. But I mean, you watch long enough, you're like, oh my God, he's not faking that. That's just insane. Sitch. I feel every time I bring up like my close friends, it's like one's a psychopath.
I know. It's just like,
fucking...
I'm like, Jesus. Like every time I hear about people that you've interacted with, I'm like, am I the only normal person you know?
No, look,
besides your wife? Like,
look, I have a lot of friends, so I have a lot of super normie friends.
But you just don't hear about them because they're not interesting, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, you have enough friends, and you definitely have friends that run the gamut. So
Sure. And you're only going to talk about the crazy ones.
Well, and if I meet someone and they're a drop down, drunk, I'm probably not going to be friends with them very long. But I mean, this is one of my childhood friends. Like I've known him, since I was like 10. So I mean, it's more difficult to shut those people out of your lives, right? The psychopath guy I've known since I was just a kid. So I mean, those kinds of people you can't make like lifetime friends just easily. So those tend to be the ones that end to be like the crazy ones.
Zero Fox says that the last Ricada appearance we had, the good one, the better one, was the birth of Blentyfly.
Was it really? No way.
So I kind of vaguely recall that now that he said that, but because I remember me and him were going off for like a really long time. So whenever I'm talking to a guest for a very long time, Adam gets bored. He starts doing
oh, you're right.
Weird shit.
You're right.
And so I guess that's where Blentyfly came from.
Because I barely said anything in that. Because look, yes. I didn't do. Look, I was being quiet not because I don't want to talk, because I do. Obviously, I'm bored, but because I didn't do my homework on it. Like you guys were talking about a bunch of stuff that I didn't.
Right.
I didn't do the research on. So look, I had to entertain myself. I came up with a new character, a very popular character.
There you go. There you go. How unfortunate, right?
What do they call? I mean, Zero Fuck should be like our biographer, or like
He's
show
our Stitch and Adam
biographer.
historian.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's
Okay.
so good. He knows all the
He
lore.
knows all the lore, yes. He's one of the okay, so Zero Fox can be one of there's a bunch of them out there. Zero Fox can be one of the official unofficial, right? Stitch and Adam lore masters. How about that?
Of course.
He's got like a big tome of the lore.
Yes.
So thank you.
I love it.
Dr. Dealer says Ricada took down the YouTube VOD, but it's still up on Rumble and it looks bad. Oh, okay. Well, it's not good.
Oh, it is? The one,
Supposedly.
so this recent one looks bad.
Yeah. This happened. I'm assuming it just happened. That's why people were throwing the clip around. So
Play the clip.
no,
Let's play the clip.
no, come on.
Sitch, you're too merciful. This is what's holding us back right here. Sitch,
Well, people
Sitch's
are
conscience.
Yeah. Yes, listen. If it was someone that like I hated, then I would be more. Maybe I'd be more on board with playing the clip.
This is tough love. I'm telling you, he needs to be shamed into sobriety. What's so hard to understand about it?
No, stop it. Stop it.
Look, we love you, Nick, but we're gonna laugh and point at this
No,
clip.
stop.
We're not gonna
Anyway.
play the clip.
No, don't play the clip.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Let me see if I can find it.
No, stop. Don't play
Oh,
the
I
clip.
forgot. I could just play the clip on my end. And
Don't do it. Okay.
Oh,
Don't do it. Have a conscience.
have a what?
Have a conscience.
What your
exactly.
mic is cutting in and out.
Yeah. Brian. Oh wait, I skipped one. I skipped a couple. Depressed Canadian for 10 Canadian, thank you. Says leftists will constantly conflate the terms between sex and gender. They will say in the same breath that all sports can be co-ed and then say, of course, there's a difference between the sexes. True. Very true. Solid Provide R says, I was arguing with someone about this a while back, and he said that doctors vet children carefully before Stop, don't bring it up.
Do what?
I can see it. Come on. Take it. This is so gross.
Oh my God, Sitch. Sitch, I don't understand. Do you not understand how an intervention works?
I don't think this is how an intervention.
This is an intervention.
No,
this is when the friends come to you and they say, listen, listen.
Yeah.
You've got a problem. Okay. We need to talk about it.
Right.
I don't understand.
So people want to watch it, they can find it on Twitter. All right.
Friends like you, who are just like, oh, let's pretend this isn't happening.
Well, no, there's a difference between saying like, listen, we need to talk about your problems versus like, let me go and broadcast your problems to the world, right?
Oh my God, I'm laughing so hard. I can barely like do my light graphic design.
This is awful. Stop it.
What's awful?
Stop.
Look, Sitch. Didn't you have some super chats to read? This stream is almost over, okay?
Okay.
No one watches to the end of the stream anyway. Oh,
except for the 831 concurrent viewers we currently have right now. Okay. He's making it bigger.
What are you talking? Of course. We got to see the reaction. People want to know.
Oh my God.
All right. Look, you guys didn't see this on our stream. All right. And look, I'm serious about this. Got to stop joking around here for a second. This may not be real. Okay. This may be AI. I'm not sure. But if this is real, Nick, change up your business model. Okay. You can't get yourself blown out like this all the time. This is not good. Okay. Now let's watch.
Now what's what?
Now let's watch.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, I've seen those tremors before.
Why is my camera still on?
Oh. Okay. Oh,
Terrible.
that right there. Look, that's a great PSA for
Not
sobriety.
drinking.
Yeah, for sobriety right there.
That's true.
This is a perfect this clip should be in every Alcoholics Anonymous message on the internet. So look, you turn it into something good. Think how many people are going to be like, I'm not drinking for a month after seeing this clip.
No.
Look, I may never drink again after seeing this clip, but in all honesty, I barely drink anything anyway. So not like a big thing.
Yeah, a lot of people in chat are saying this. When I first saw that clip, I didn't realize it was an alcohol thing. I thought he was like pretending to jerk off or something. And then people are like, no, he has alcoholic tremors. I was like, oh shit.
Those are the same tremors my friend gets.
Right.
It doesn't it seem fake? Doesn't it seem like, oh, you're putting on a show here? It just seems so unnatural to me. It seems.
Yes. But I feel like that's true when you see it. Whenever you see anyone do anything weird like that you're like, oh, they're faking it, but they're not. You're like, oh my God, it's scary. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a David Lynch movie or something.
Right.
You're like, oh yeah, I've seen this David Lynch movie. Oh wait, something's happening here.
Right.
All right. Don't drink and drive, kids.
Yes. And don't just drink to excess either.
Don't drink and live stream.
Right. Okay. Stella for $10. Thank you. Says, I was arguing with someone about this a while back. He said that doctors vet children carefully before transitioning. He's from the UK, by the way. Well, obviously we know that's not true now. So it also says, do you see a difference between social transitioning and a boy wanting to wear a dress? Among, for example. I mean, it could, they don't have to be the same thing, right? Like, I guess a boy could just want to wear a dress because maybe they have AGP, which I believe starts when they're young. I forget the exact year that starts. Maybe the boy just sometimes kids just like to experiment with wearing, gendered clothes of the other gender for completely, innocuous reasons. But I'm not in favor of this sort of like left idea that, oh, you just let your kid do whatever the fuck they want, right? Like if I had a boy or a girl, if girl, I guess they could wear whatever generally. But if I had a boy and they're like, oh, I want to dress up like a girl for school, I'd be like, why? And I'd be like, you're gonna get made fun of, right? Like people are gonna make fun of you. You shouldn't do that. I'm not gonna let you do that. I don't think it's a good idea to let your children like just, walk into the hornet's nest like that, right? I don't see what the validity to that is. So.
Oh, you so narrow-minded.
I know.
Look, I think the cultural moment that we're at is the problem for me with this kind of scenario. If we were more in the 90s cultural moment where, a person wants to experiment with gender and they want to wear, they're a male and they want to wear a dress to school, but you aren't going to have people swooping in saying, oh, you must be trans. Like you must be a woman trapped in a man's body. Like that narrative, I think, is complete cancer. Like
right,
if it was culturally understood that, they are a male. Thing. Yeah. They're going to continue to be a male. This is just them expressing themselves.
Right.
I'd be totally on board with it. I'd be like, yeah, that's great. Do it up, man. I like crazy stuff. Enjoy.
Yeah, like I understand what you're saying because I mean, obviously, if people just perceived it as a fashion thing, then if they want to do it, there wouldn't be some kind of like potential lasting harm. Where now, if they want to do it and they're not trans, you're gonna have a million people telling them they're trans, which could confuse them if they're a kid, right?
Of course, yeah.
That being said, I still find it super cringe and stupid.
Right.
And so even if I had a kid who knew they weren't trans, like I want to wear a dress, I'd still be like, that's so fucking cringe. Why?
Right.
What is the point of doing that?
To piss you off, Dad?
It doesn't piss me off. It's just super cringe. Stop being cringe. Like, what's the point? It's so lame.
You triggered as hell.
It's so, I'm triggering my son as being cringe lord. Okay.
I
want my son to be cool. I don't want them to be lame. Like, that's so lame.
This is exactly.
Like, why? Like,
this is exactly what happens. The kids
it's so lame.
They have to separate themselves from their parents. Their parents It's like a
One
switch
of-
flips. Their parents go from being their heroes to being like the uncoolest human being on the planet. They're like, oh my
To
God.
me, it seems so try hard. It's so pathetically try hard. You're like, I'm gonna be a boy and wear a dress. Like, oh, okay, wow, okay, Britta. Like, it's just so obviously like a virtue signal.
What if this is making all the women in school swoon though? How,
Well,
does
that's a
that
different
change your
story, right?
opinion?
That would be completely different. If they just said to me, like, listen, Dad, all this gender shit, bullshit. But if I put on a dress, all the girls are gonna fall for it. I'd be like, Godspeed, right? A really different scenario. Because the motivation is like more like, oh, okay, well then that's not cringe at all. Like that's very smart and cynical, and I like it. But that would be a completely different scenario, right?
Right,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, good. I love it.
I just want the high-minded bullshit. You know, I'm just expressing myself by wearing a dress. It's like, oh, okay.
I love it.
Depressed Canadian for 10 Canadian says Sam Cedar was asked if all sports should be co-ed. Emma said that's the main goal. Sam said sports should decide, but when Fina decided Leah Thompson shouldn't compete, he then said he disagreed with it. Yeah, I think we watched that clip a while back. Was that the same clip where Emma was basically like, I don't give a shit if women all get BTFO'd in sports, if as long as it, makes society more equitable for trans people?
That's exactly what she said.
Yeah, so that was a pretty wild clip.
The truth of the matter is, look, I'm not a big sports fan, obviously, so maybe this is wrong, but I've heard people say that sports are all co-ed, that there's nothing preventing women from competing in men's sports. It's women's sports that are not co-ed.
Mhm.
So you have the male category, men and women can both compete, and the female category is prohibits men from competing for obvious reasons, right?
Right.
Look, if a woman wants to compete against the men, her status is going to go up, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you can take off. You have to keep up the tweet. Okay, we already watched the video.
Yeah, but look, Blunty Fly's hanging out with Nick.
The clip off. Okay.
Look, this is like a great reunion.
No, stop
Blunty
it.
Fly and Nick.
Stop.
You don't like it?
No, I don't.
Okay. Jeez.
Zoke for 9 months. Thanks so much. Says I did it a bit old fashioned. I did fancy edits using Adobe After Effects. I made fancy transitions for the YouTube video and had to redo some of them. Well, there you go.
I really like DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci Resolve is free and it's a great editor for doing fancy tricks and stuff like that. So if any of you are out there dreaming of making your content, making cool Sitch-like videos.
And I was really dumb because like for the first year or two of me making videos, because I was using Vegas, which Vegas, I like a lot of things about it, but also there's a lot of like really shit things about Vegas. And one of the shit things was that they didn't, at least the version I had, it didn't have tracking on it. So I do manual tracking for animation, which took forever and looks way worse than auto tracking. And so like the first 2 years, I just took so much time to do this shitty manual tracking that looked like garbage.
Yeah, the tracking in DaVinci Resolve is amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
No, it wasn't Resolve. It was
use, I think, Hitman, right?
Yeah, I was using Hitman. Hitman was free and it had good tracking. So I do all the tracking styles in Hitman. But I couldn't get Resolve to work for some reason. I don't remember why. I had some problem with it, but the Real Hultinator for $5 says, you don't understand those 5% are lifelong patients that will need hundreds of thousands of dollars of healthcare. I have a video backing it up. Oh yeah,
we understand. We get it.
Sure, I get it.
Cash cow, right?
Right.
Future
Exactly.
David Pakman subscribers.
That's what they call a whale in the industry. Brian for $5 says, that's the funniest part. The left are determinists like the racists they pretend to fight with. It's very true. It's very true.
And sad.
Real Hultinator for another $5 says, do you think the social contagion is a thing in regards to LGBT? If so, you think they will ever get anything like the cast support? What do you mean in terms of like, just, I don't know what you mean by that. In terms of just being like gay or bi? I mean, I definitely think people experiment being gay or bi because of a social contagion factor. I mean, that's kind of a widely known thing, right? Like, especially for girls, girls experiment in college, right? That was, very famous Katy Perry song. I kissed a girl and I liked it. So I think that's always been sort of a thing, but it just didn't really matter because it's like, okay, so if you're, you know, try being gay and you don't like it, that's generally not going to cause some kind of lifelong repercussion down the road, right? You're like, oh, I tried this thing in college. I didn't click with me. And that
But
was it,
Sitch,
right? It doesn't really matter at that point.
but Sitch, bottom surgery is totally reversible. They
Right,
just they
but
just
that's
sew a sausage back on there.
right. But I think that was the issue. So like all like social contagion for kids, for young kids has been and for young adults has been a thing since the dawn of time. It's just that, usually they weren't for something as severe as transitioning, which has lifelong repercussions, right?
No, there was social contagion for
Well,
suicide,
that's a
which
good point. Sure,
obviously did
obviously.
have
It has the most
lifelong
lifelong
repercussions.
repercussions. Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
sure. That's a good point. So
Oh,
the real standard for $10 says, I left all my childhood friends. I left all my childhood friends off besides one. Go do jujitsu, make friends with those people. They're all cool. Don't let people drag you down. If I didn't leave, I'd still be on a bad path. Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, this is something they tell people that have, drug issues, which I'm not saying you do, but it's like, oh, or if you have drug issues or crime issues or whatever, very often you're in a friend group that sort of cultivates that behavior, right? So
oh,
you
of
have to
course.
kind
Yeah.
of get a different friend group, unfortunately, if you had some sort of problems in life, a friend group that won't sort of promote you to do those problematic behaviors. So,
Yeah, you got to have good, healthy friendships. People
right.
are going to be your conscience, when you have that moment of potential indiscretion, they're going to keep you they're going to get you back on the straight and narrow.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or at least just not promote the behavior, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Wind Traveler for 11 months, thanks so much. Says mocking someone is a very poor way to get them to change their behavior. Don't play the clip. The dude is going through enough right now.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Damn it. I messed
Uh,
up.
You did. But then Joe Sullivan has the opposite opinion for 19 months. Says, I can tell you that Ricada would be insulted if you didn't play the clip. He considers things like that to be fair game. So there you go. We got it from both spectrums here.
Right.
Both sides of the spectrum. AKA Batosai for 26 months. Thank you so much, AKA Batosai, for being over 2 years a member. Says Adam, who is the artist for this background? A-Team reigns supreme.
AI.
There you go.
The
AI 's
robots made
the
it.
robots made it, yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to be the answer for like everything in the future.
Look, Sitch was always like, you got to put the name of the artist in it. I was like, well, I'm just going to start making art with AI then.
Did you make that picture or you found that's an AI picture?
I'm not sure. I made a bunch of them and I also downloaded a bunch.
That's how much we don't care. Like you don't even remember if you generate it because it doesn't have an emotional like impact on you because you just clicked the button and it did it, right?
Well, I do like it. What do
No,
you
I
mean?
like it, but I'm saying like it's just so unimportant because it's AI
That's
created.
not really because when I'm using the AI to make stuff, the AI is spitting out like hundreds of images and
Right.
only one
Yeah.
or two. I mean,
Are
you're
good.
really curating
Sure.
what the AI is doing, right?
Sure.
So
There was a thing that I saw some people freaking out about, but I was like, this is amazing. Even though it's from last year, there's some company that they made a helmet. It's a prototype little like helmet or hat or something you put on your head. That's like an EK, like when you get the EKG. I don't think I've ever had one though, where they put the little like sticky things on your head
right.
and it reads your brain waves. Where they have something like that you put on your head and they hook it up to an AI, and the AI can sort of with somewhere to 50% accuracy translate your thoughts into words.
Wow.
Isn't that fucking insane?
Yeah, it is.
And people
Yeah,
freaking out
AI
about that,
is
but I was like, that's so amazing because that's really going to be the future interface. Is that you just have a thing on your head and you just control it by thinking, which is going to be insane. But obviously it's going to have weird. People worried about the obviously weird, things that could happen. Where it's like, oh, if you're on trial, they're going to put like the mind reading helmet on to read your thoughts or something. So
I have a bunch of AI backgrounds in here. I was trying to change him every single show, but
Mhm.
then like I have run into time issues in my life. So,
Right.
oh look, Ian. That's not an AI background. Well, it is.
Yeah.
I AI enlarged it.
With the
So I
eyes,
yeah,
the Ian eyes.
the Ian
Um,
eyes.
but and I was saying this the other day is how great it is. When I was watching some of the Google Gemini videos and the Chat GPT-4 videos about how it can like, can instantly translate like the Google Glass thing, like it can like instantly translate people talking to you. Like how amazing is that for deaf people, right? You
Oh
could be
yeah.
talking to someone and you just have a little transcript like in your glasses that so you don't have to lip read them. Like that's got to be such an amazing boon for deaf people.
Technology, it's great. It's a great equalizer.
Yep. And then for blind people, they have like, they have the AI can already like kind of describe the room and they can, maybe help people get around and stuff. So, I mean, we're living in like, I think we're living on the precipice of some like insane time, right?
Yeah, I hate to use the utopia word, but it does seem like the technological utopia is a possibility.
Right. Before it seemed like it was just this dream,
Right,
but now it
yeah.
seems like actually it's something that's achievable. So it's kind of it's kind of insane and
It
amazing.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're both very optimistic about the direction technology is going to go.
Yeah, sometimes people say we're too optimistic, but look, I'm an optimist.
Yeah,
That's why you
listen,
guys are here.
it's better to be optimistic that just if it's something horrible's gonna happen anyway, right?
I'd rather be optimistic and wrong than pessimistic and right.
There you go. Dr. Dealer for $2 says regarding the Cohen Costello thing, a loyalty test could work if he kind of implies his relationship with Trump is on the rocks and he needs to protect himself. When Victor Lustig sold the Eiffel Tower, he asked for bribes. Really? That's interesting. I didn't know about that.
Wow.
Dr. Dealer for another $2 says back in middle school, we had a guy paint his nails and come in with high heels. We all made fun of him because he wanted attention. Googled him recently and saw he was looking for a boyfriend. Mission accomplished.
Yeah,
There
see?
you go. There you go. Well, painting your nails, depending on what color you do, like that's acceptable for a lot of various aesthetics for men. So, like a lot of goth guys will paint their nails.
I should paint my nails black. That'd be good.
A friend of mine who's very straight would paint his nails because he was kind of not 100% goth, but like sort of goth. And girls would always give positive comments about it, like constantly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Look, that's
They
why
eat
you
that
paint
shit
your
up.
nails black is so
Yeah.
the girls swoon. They're like, "Oh my man,
I
this
love your
guy's."
nails. Like we'd be in an elevator and he'd be like, I love your nails. So
They're like,
girls eat that shit up.
they do. You got to wonder though, because like 5% of them are going to be like, "Oh, a gay guy I can be friends with."
Well, he's married now, so I guess it worked. But I mean, he didn't get them through that interaction much. Fondue for $20. Thanks so much, Fondue. Says I've been thinking about the going strategy for the Democrats is to have a coalition of people based on immutable characteristics, so they have no problem ruining trans people for life because it just means lifelong voters. Well, I'm not sure about that because I think first of all, if there's like a wave of trans regret, none of those people are going to vote Democrat, right? They're going to vote Republican. They say these people tried to warn us, and the
Right.
Democrats fucked us over. So I mean, they wouldn't get that. And then also, if it came out, if there is this like massive wave of regret that's publicly acknowledged and talked about, I mean, it's going to make the Democrats and the left look just so bad. Like it'd be a very short-term gamble for like a huge long-term blow. I think what's more likely the situation is that the people on the left just don't they've just bought into what comfortably fits with their ideology. I don't think that they're operate I think there's very few people on the left who are in like the politics space. Like there could be obviously doctors who know. But I think there's very few people on the left in the politics space who have knowledge that some of the trans stuff for children is dangerous and are just like grifting off of it. I think they just honestly believe the wrong information because it's ideologically aligns with what they want to be true.
I
Brian,
agree.
yeah, what?
Yeah, I
Oh,
agree.
okay. Seller for $5 says, I know someone who's a longtime alcoholic and comes from a wealthy family. His problem is his lack of rock bottom. maybe this is Rekieta's. I mean, I don't know enough about Rekieta to comment on that, but yeah, I mean, I've heard and maybe even experienced to some extent, like the lack of a rock bottom can definitely, like having a rock bottom can definitely help people, like finally decide to fix something in their life, right? So
Of course, yeah.
when you got nothing left to lose, there's nowhere to go but up. Brian for $5 says, "Meh, soon the tech will become normal and we will continue to gripe about new things." I mean, listen, we're always going to gripe about something, right? I don't disagree. We're always going to be complaining, but we could still be, if we're complaining about, if everyone in the world is not complaining about real things like sickness and poverty and war, and we're complaining about, you know, if the entire world was just complaining about how shitty, Game of Thrones season 400 is, then I consider that a win for humanity, right? If that's like
Yeah.
the biggest thing on people's mind. Stephen R for $5 says, A-Team S-Class, Blunty Fly Buddies. I guess that's what I am now. The BFB, the Blunty Fly
Sweet.
Buddies. There you go.
Blunty Fly's got his own tribe now.
Right. PLO to PL for $5 says, regarding the tech utopia, I live in San Francisco and now using self-driving cars from Waymo as my main form of rideshare. It's basically the same price as Uber Lyft.
Wow.
I didn't know, like, are those self-driving cars really just all over the place and completely ready for people to ride around in San Francisco? That's pretty crazy if that's the case. I mean, I heard people talking about it, but I guess it just never really sunk in because everyone talks about like the crime and drug and homeless problems in San Francisco instead. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it will definitely be an amazing thing when you have the self-driving cars like perfected. Because obviously, that's going to just, first of all, I mean, that's going to save so many lives, but also just going to make I think it's going to really change the psychology of like travel, and it's just going to be so convenient. Just get into a car, punch in where you want to go, just like whip out your laptop.
Well,
And just be like tick 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 tick. Yeah.
there's going to be like different self-driving cars. There's going to be like the latte car. There's going to be like the workout car.
Oh, you're
Like,
right.
so you can actually do something. Yeah.
Now that's
The
interesting,
office
right?
car.
Right, yeah, yeah. Like the car that's a gym.
Yeah.
Well, that would be a self-driving bus, right? Though I don't know, that'd be kind of risky because
More like a
movement of
Sprinter
traffic,
van.
they only have
No,
certain
you-
exercise equipment you could.
You just set up a elliptical in there, or
Oh,
a
okay.
bicycle, or
Right.
stationary bike.
Get your workout on the way to work.
Look, you could set up the stationary bike and have like a virtual reality screen in front where you're like going through the woods.
And it matches the movement of the car.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty
great.
cool. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Oh
I
my
like
God.
it. I like
How
it.
is this not utopia?
It's pretty
Look,
awesome.
Star Trek kind of laid out the utopia anyway. So
That's true.
the only jobs we want to automate, all the jobs that nobody wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
Just the jobs that people want to do, we want to not automate, like
Of course.
artist, attorney. all the
People
jobs
want to
that
be
we all-
attorneys.
Maybe not. I do.
Mr. Ubercross, do you want to be an attorney?
There are interesting jobs, though.
Of course, there's lots of interesting jobs. Right.
I
have
mean,
an interesting
attorney
job.
seems like, yeah, of course. We love
Sure.
what we do, right? We
Right.
still want to do it. We don't want this to be automated away.
No.
But I'm sure an AI could probably do it better.
Stop it. Not true. Stuck for $5 says, a trade. The culture war completely dies out and politics becomes far more boring and healthy, but everyone loves Game of Thrones Season 8 and Disney Star Wars. I mean, listen, is it worth the sacrifice? That's a very tough question, Stug, okay? That is such a tough question. I don't know. Is our integrity for not liking cringe and not liking garbage worth selling out for world peace? What do you think, Adam? We have world peace on one hand, and we have liking cringe on the other hand. Which do we choose?
Why can't we have both? I don't understand.
Because it's a hypothetical.
Why has it got to be so black and white?
It's a hypothetical.
I think cringe can lead to world peace.
I don't think it's worth it, Stuck. I don't think liking cringe is worth world peace, okay?
Keep
Gotta
the
keep your cool points, right?
Keep the cringe.
Having people die and having misery in the world is a worthy sacrifice for not liking cringe, right?
Right.
There you go.
It's all pros and cons.
There you go.
It's just trade-offs, right?
Right.
That's what Thomas Sowell said.
There's their Thomas Sowell, yeah. Okay. Anyway.
All right. Great stream. Talk to you guys tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.